I was reborn on the night my child was taken from me. The C-section incision still ached, the anesthesia long worn off. The slightest movement sent searing pain through my body, making everything go white before my eyes, yet Xia Linchuan had already brought Su Wan and 2 bodyguards, blocking the entrance to Ward 302. Dressed in a black suit, he stood under the cold, white lights of the corridor, his face as grim as if he had come to pass a sentence. Lin Ziyi, hand over the child. I looked up at him. In the past life, it was the same sentence. Back then, I was only 3 days postpartum and could barely sit up. When I heard that he wanted to take the child away, my first reaction was to cry. I cried and begged him not to touch my child. Su Wan stood behind him, her eyes red as she whispered softly, "Linchuan, your sister is emotionally unstable after giving birth." Just that one sentence, I was labeled a lunatic. The child was taken away. I chased after them into the hallway, but my surgical wound tore open, causing a severe hemorrhage, and I fell unconscious. When I woke up again, I was already in a psychiatric hospital. 3 months later, I died there. Now, Xia Linchuan was still standing at the door. Su Wan was still behind him, her eyes red, as if she were the one who had been wronged. She was the first love he had protected for many years. I had just given birth, yet she seemed more like the master of this child than I did. I paused for 2 seconds, then reached out and pressed the bedside call bell. Soon, the night shift nurse pushed the door open and came in. "Room 302, what's wrong?" I pointed to the few people at the door. "Call the police." Someone came in groups at 2 a.m. to snatch the newborns. The ward fell silent for a moment. The nurse was stunned. Su Wan was also stunned. Xia Linchuan frowned. "Lin Ziyi, what kind of madness is this now?" I nodded. "If you think I'm crazy, I suggest you see a psychiatrist, but for what you're doing right now, I'd suggest starting with the legal department." The nurse lowered her head and coughed. Xia Linchuan's face darkened. He lifted his foot to step inside. The nurse immediately stepped forward and blocked him. "Sir, this is the maternity and childcare area. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter." Xia Linchuan gave her a cold look. "I am the child's father. Even a father cannot barge into a postpartum mother's room with bodyguards in the middle of the night." I leaned against the headboard, cold sweat already beading on my forehead, though my voice remained firm. "Besides, I don't acknowledge that you have the right to do so now." Xia Linchuan's gaze snapped back to my face. It was probably the first time he'd heard me speak to him like that. Even his hand, halfway raised, froze in place. "Lin Ziyi, don't act so familiar." He stiffened for a moment. Su Wan immediately stepped half a pace forward, her voice as soft as if afraid of disturbing someone. "Ziyi, don't be like this. Linchuan is just worried about the child." "Worried about the child?" I looked at her. "So he brings 2 bodyguards to barge into the maternity and infant area in the middle of the night. Is this how your family expresses fatherly love, with something so criminal?" Su Wan's face turned pale. She opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. The bodyguard behind Xia Linchuan lowered his head, as if suddenly very interested in the floor. Xia Linchuan said coldly, "Lin Ziyi, Su Wan is doing this for your own good." "If it's for my own good, fine." I nodded. "First, have her show her medical license." "Without proof, this isn't concern from her. It's called spreading rumors." Su Wan's tears fell instantly. "Linchuan, I knew my sister would misunderstand me." Xia Linchuan's gaze toward me grew even colder. "Look at yourself. What have you become? Like a woman who just had a C-section 3 days ago, only to have someone barge in at midnight to snatch her child away." I said, "But you, like a legal illiterate who lets her lead you by the nose, yet still thinks you're perfectly clear-headed." Xia Linchuan's face turned completely dark. "Lin Ziyi, don't test my patience." "Xia Linchuan, don't you test the limits of the law either." I pointed to the crib beside the bed. The baby lay inside, a tiny bundle, its cries still soft and faint. "The child is right here. If you dare take the baby away without authorization today, I will make sure the whole city knows tomorrow that the eldest son of the Xia family snatched a newborn at 2 in the morning. Don't bother saying you're just the child's father then. Even if you claim to be the Jade Emperor, you still have to cooperate with the investigation." Xia Linchuan stared at me intently. He probably hadn't processed it yet. In the past, as soon as he furrowed his brow, I would rush to explain, but now, I just want him to explain one thing first. Why take my child away? Su Wan wiped away her tears and took a document out of her bag. "Sister Ziyi, I know you hate me, but I can't just stand by and watch something happen to the child." She handed the documents to Xia Linchuan. "This is the postpartum mental abnormality risk assessment from the doctor. The doctor says, given your sister's current condition, it's very dangerous for the child to stay with her. Xia Linchuan took it and glanced down, his expression darkened further. Lin Ziyi, what do you have to say for yourself? In the past, this was where I would have rushed to explain, but the more I said I wasn't crazy, the more they thought I was. This time, I didn't snatch the documents, nor did I cry, I just looked at Su Wan. Which hospital issued it? Su Wan paused. I continued to ask, which doctor signed it? When was the evaluation conducted? Was I aware of this myself? Who signed the authorization form? And one more thing, I paused, as the laboring mother myself. Why wasn't I informed that I had been evaluated? Su Wan opened her mouth, but no words came out. Sister Ziyi, you're so emotional right now, I'm just worried that, don't be afraid, I interrupt her, give me the doctor's phone number, I'll call him right now and ask how he managed to diagnose me from a distance. Su Wan's face turned pale. Xia Linchuan frowned. Do you really have to be so aggressive? She shows up in the middle of the night with some dubious piece of paper, trying to take my child. And that's called showing concern, and me asking about its origin a couple of times, that's called being aggressive. I watched him. Xia Linchuan, your sense of fairness sure picks its favorites. Xia Linchuan's fingers tightened around the assessment report. He finally looked down at the paper once more. There was only the signature of a so-called expert on that sheet, no record of my confirmation, without the stamp of the postpartum care center. Even the date is the day before I gave birth. I laughed. Pretty strange, my child hadn't even been born yet, and this expert already knew in advance that I would have postpartum mental abnormalities. Did he study fortune-telling before studying medicine? The hospital room fell silent for 2 seconds. The nurse took the assessment, glanced at it a few times, and her expression changed as well. Mr. Xia, this document was not issued by our center. There is no stamp from our center's doctor on it, nor any confirmation record from the mother herself. Procedurally, it cannot serve as a basis for taking the newborn away. Su Wan immediately said, this isn't from your center, it's from an expert. Linchuan found. Where are the experts? I asked. Bring him in, now. If he can truly prove that I'm insane, I'll cooperate with the consultation immediately. But before he arrives, Su Wan, I look at her, if you say one more time that I'm mentally unstable, I'll add another count of defamation to the lawsuit. Su Wan's tears hung on her face, neither falling nor retreating. Xia Linchuan did not speak up for her immediately. A brief silence fell over the hospital room for the first time. At this moment, Su Wan's composure finally began to crack. She probably hadn't expected that the very thing that could convict me with a single word in her previous life would now require an explanation of its source in this one. The nurse picked up her phone. I'm calling the police now. At these words, Su Wan's head shot up. She reached out to tug at Xia Linchuan's sleeve. Linchuan, you can't call the police. If this gets blown up, it won't be good for my sister either. I look at her. How is it not good for me again? I'm a new mother whose child was seized at my own door, and I have to worry about the reputation of the people who took the child. Su Wan, are you so good at moral blackmail? The nurse had already started dialing. Hello, this is Anha Postpartum Care Center, room 302. An unauthorized person is attempting to take the newborn, and the mother herself has explicitly refused. Su Wan's face grew paler. Xia Linchuan was still able to stand firm. He looked at me and lowered his voice. Lin Ziyi, are you sure you want to push this to such an extreme? Confirmed, don't regret it. I looked up at him. You're saying that a bit too early. After all, regret usually comes very late. Xia Linchuan's brows furrowed slightly. The hospital room was so cold it felt stiff. The baby in the crib stirred slightly, a small hand peeking out from the swaddle. Su Wan's gaze immediately fell on him. She took a step forward and said softly, I want to see the child. The nurse immediately blocked her. Miss Su, please do not approach the crib. I also spoke up. Everyone, take a good look. If she leans toward the child's side, I suggest counting it as an attack on a newborn. Su Wan froze completely on the spot. Xia Linchuan looked at me. Do you have to think of her as so malicious? I don't want to either. I sighed. But from the moment she entered the door until now, mental evaluation, paternity test, approaching the crib, she hasn't missed a single step. Su Wan's fingers clenched inside her sleeve. She couldn't keep crying anymore, because she realized that crying was no longer of any use with me. In the past, every time she cried, I would take a step back. Now, every time she cries, I add another piece of evidence. The nurse hung up the phone. The police are already on their way. As soon as this sentence fell, the atmosphere in the hospital room completely changed. Xia Linchuan's face darkened. The supervisor hadn't arrived yet. The police hadn't arrived yet. But Soo-won was already panicking. She bit her lip, as if she had finally made up her mind, and then took a second document out of her bag. Sister Z, if you insist on calling the police, then I have no choice but to tell the truth. I felt a chill in my chest as I looked at the documents in her hand. Here it comes. I knew that document all too well. It was the very thing that had completely changed the way Xia Linchuan looked at me. Soo-won handed the document to Xia Linchuan, her voice trembling. Linchuan, this child is not yours at all. Xia Linchuan took the document. On the cover, the words, paternity test, were glaringly harsh. Soo-won, her eyes red, looked at me. I didn't want to say anything, but with the way my sister is now, the child really can't stay by her side any longer. Xia Linchuan looked down at the paternity test. The lights in the hospital room were very white, casting a cold chill over his knuckles. Soo-won stood beside him, her eyes reddening. Just enough, Linchuan, I know this is cruel to you, but we can't be muddle-headed when it comes to the child. Xia Linchuan said nothing. He only looked at me, like looking at a counterfeit that had finally revealed its cracks, but I wasn't in a hurry to explain. I just looked at Soo-won, who took the sample. Soo-won was stunned. What? I asked you, who took the sample? I leaned against the headboard, the surgical wound throbbing with a dull ache, though my voice remained clear. Who submitted the sample for testing? Who authorized it? The baby was only 3 days old. Apart from the nurse changing diapers, he'd barely even left the hospital room. Whose sample did you use for this identification? Soo-won's tears were still on her face, but this time, they couldn't fall. Xia Linchuan's fingers holding the document paused for a moment. He finally looked down at the string of numbers beneath the appraisal form. Soo-won quickly snapped back, her voice trembling. Sis Ziyi, the focus right now isn't on the samples, the focus is on the results. Wrong, I interrupt her. The most important thing in paternity testing is the sample. If the sample is unclear, the result is worthless. Nurse Su-wei stood nearby, her lips twitching as if she wanted to nod, but she held back. I continued to look at Soo-won. You can't possibly say that my son crawled out of bed in the middle of the night, cooperated with you to complete the appraisal, and then crawled back to sleep, can you? The hospital room fell silent for a moment. Xia Linchuan's expression was not looking good, but this time, he didn't immediately scold me for being reckless. Soo-won bit her lip. I just asked someone to get the sample. Who? I asked. Her eyes flickered. I laughed. What? Did you entrust someone from the underworld? Can't the living say their names? Xia Linchuan finally spoke. Soo-won, who gave you the sample? Soo-won gripped her bag straps, her voice growing softer. Linchuan, are you doubting me now? In the past, as soon as she said this, Xia Linchuan would immediately take her side, but this time, Xia Linchuan did not answer right away. He stared at the appraisal form in his hand, his brow furrowing with hesitation for the first time. I watched him. Xia Linchuan, you don't need to rush to doubt her right now. First, think back. Have you asked a single question about the sample's source since you walked in? His head snapped up. I raised my chin slightly, signaling for him to look at the paper. In his hand, a newborn who is only 3 days old. No sampling records, no maternal authorization, no entry or exit logs from the care area. A paternity test report suddenly appeared out of Soo-won's bag. Your first reaction after reading it wasn't to ask where the sample came from. Instead, it was to ask what else I had to say. Do you usually sign contracts this way when negotiating business deals? Xia Linchuan's expression froze instantly. Soo-won panicked. Ziyi, why do you have to make it sound so harsh? Harsh, I looked at her. Then I'll say something that sounds better. Miss Su has provided a paternity test report with an unknown source, unknown authorization, and unknown sampling, and is trying to use it to take my child away. Is that dignified enough for you? The color drained from Soo-won's face little by little. Xia Linchuan looked down at the test report once more. Nurse Su, I speak up. Could you please check if there are any sampling records for the newborn in room 302 over the past 3 days? Su-wei immediately walked over to the computer. This time, I asked first, and she provided supplementary evidence afterward. Soon, she looked at the screen and said, no, baby 302 has never left the nursing area since birth. There are also no blood samples, buccal swabs, or other sampling records. The identity wristbands, feeding records, and nighttime inspection logs are all complete. Soo-won immediately said, just because your center doesn't have them doesn't mean no other place does. I nodded. Yes, so the question comes back again, how did other places get the samples? Did my child send them over himself, or did your people reach into the maternity area? When these words fell, the ward fell silent. Xia Linchuan finally looked up at Su Wan. Su Wan's lips trembled slightly. I don't. What was there? No, I asked. Not forged. You didn't bribe anyone. You didn't try to take the child away with a fake evaluation. She started crying again. Linchuan, I'm just really afraid of you being cheated. You're afraid he'll be deceived, so you deceive him first. Su Wan was momentarily speechless. The appraisal form in Xia Linchuan's hand was crumpled into a crease. Enough, he said. I watched him. Are you saying I've asked enough, or that she's slipped up enough? Xia Linchuan did not respond. Su Wan still had no intention of admitting it. She took a deep breath and straightened her back. Even if this report can't prove the source of the sample right now, it still doesn't prove that the child is definitely safe. She looked over at the crib. With how agitated my sister is right now, who knows if she might snap and hurt the child? I laughed. After all that, we're back to me being the crazy one. Su Wan, is this the only hat you have tonight? Su Wan's expression was grim. I was just worried. Worry needs to be backed by evidence. I said, you say I'm crazy. Show me the diagnosis. You say the child isn't Xia Linchuan's. Provide a legal paternity test. You say I will harm the child. Provide evidence. Nothing at all. Just a statement of concern. Then I'm also concerned that you want to take the child away. Should I detain you first? Su Wan's tears were stuck in her eyes. Just then, hurried footsteps were heard outside. The head of the postpartum care center arrived. She was wearing a coat, and her hair was a bit messy, clearly having been called out at a moment's notice. As soon as she entered, she first looked at Xia Linchuan. Mr. Xia, I'm really sorry. Is there some kind of misunderstanding on our end? I raised an eyebrow. Before even steadying oneself, the stance was already set. Xia Linchuan said nothing. The supervisor then looked at me, forcing a smile. Miss Lin, you've just given birth. Please try not to get too emotional. If there's any issue, we can handle it internally. I look at her. Handle it internally. The supervisor nodded. Yes. After all, the child is still young, and the mother needs rest. If this gets blown out of proportion, it won't be good for anyone. I was silent for 2 seconds. Nurse Su, please take this down for me. Su Wei was taken aback. Take what down? I looked at the supervisor. After the on-duty supervisor of Anha Postpartum Care Center arrived, they did not immediately seal the surveillance footage, did not ask how unauthorized personnel entered the mother-infant area, and did not verify the visitor's authorization. The first sentence is, internal coordination. The supervisor's face turned pale instantly. Miss Lin, that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I asked. Do you think it's not serious that someone broke into the nursing area in the middle of the night, or do you think it's not serious that someone brought unverified assessment reports and identification forms and tried to take away a newborn, or is it because Mr. Xia is standing here that you think it's best this matter doesn't get serious? The supervisor was left speechless, his lips twitching. Xia Linchuan's expression also changed. He probably hadn't expected me to snap back at the supervisor too. Su Wan took the opportunity to say softly, Sis Ziyi, the supervisor is just trying to look out for you. I looked at her. A lot of people are looking out for me today. One of them wants to take my child away. One says I'm crazy. One uses a fake appraisal. Now another one wants internal coordination. 1 or 2 more show up, and I won't be able to tell whether this is a postpartum care center or an accident assignment scene. The supervisor's face alternated between red and pale. Miss Lin, please watch your language. I'd love to, I said, but when you show up in a group in the middle of the night delivering material, it's hard for me not to work with it. Xia Linchuan closed his eyes, as if he had finally reached his limit. Lin Ziyi, are you determined to embarrass everyone? I'm not the one embarrassing anyone. I watched him. You're the one standing in the wrong place. This is the maternity and baby area, not the Xia family's living room, and certainly not Su Wan's performance hall. Su Wan's face turned pale. The supervisor finally steadied her tone. Miss Lin, I understand that you're feeling emotional right now, but after all, Mr. Xia is the child's father. There are some things we can sit down and talk about first. Talking is fine. I nodded. The supervisor had just breathed a sigh of relief. I continued. First, write a statement of the situation. First, at 2 a.m., unauthorized personnel entered the maternal and infant care area. Second, someone attempted to take the newborn away using unverified documents. Third, the mother herself explicitly refused. Fourth, the center director suggested internal coordination. I looked up at her. Sign it after you finish writing. Whoever coordinates takes the fall. The supervisor's smile completely froze on his face. This, how can you write it like this? You can't write It like this? I asked. Then what's wrong? Is it that they didn't come? Is it that they didn't grab it? Did I agree? Or did you fail to mention internal coordination? The supervisor was completely speechless. This time, Su Wei took the initiative to pick up the notebook. Miss Lin, I can make the duty log first. The supervisor suddenly glanced at her. Su Wei lowered her head, but her pen didn't stop. This time, the supervisor was truly panicked. Xia Linchuan also looked at the supervisor. Why did your center let us come straight up? The supervisor's face turned pale. Mr. Xia, the front desk said you have a special status. I let out a laugh. Special identity. So as long as you look rich enough, you can bypass the front desk, bypass authorization, bypass the mother herself, and go straight upstairs to claim the child. This isn't a high-end postpartum care center, it's a self-service check-in counter for wealthy families. The bodyguard at the door couldn't hold it together and took a quiet breath. Xia Linchuan glanced back at him. The bodyguard immediately stood up straight. The supervisor was so anxious that sweat broke out on his forehead. Ms. Lin, we will definitely look into this matter. Not just look into it, I said. We are sealing the surveillance footage right now, access records, visitor logs, shift handovers, and front desk clearance records. Seal them all. The supervisor hesitated for a moment. I look at her. If you don't seal them, when the police arrive, I'll tell them it was you who refused to seal them. The supervisor's expression changed. Block, of course block. She immediately turned around and instructed the people behind her to handle it. Su Wan's face grew even more unpleasant. She probably hadn't expected that someone who should have been suppressed by her label of mentally unstable would now not even spare the person in charge of the postpartum care center. Xia Linchuan stood in the center of the hospital room, still holding the test report in his hand. He looked at me, then at Su Wan. The certainty in his eyes finally began to crack. Su Wan had clearly noticed it too. She panicked for a moment, then immediately softened her voice. Linchuan, I really mean no harm. I'm just afraid something might happen to the child. If you're not willing to let us take the child away right now, at least let a doctor assess the safety of the child's environment. I look at her. Here it comes again. Su Wan bit her lip. Did I say something wrong? You're consistently wrong, I said. The biggest safety risk to the child right now isn't me, the biological mother. You're the outsider who keeps asking for psychiatric evaluations, then paternity tests, and now wants to get close to the crib. The feigned fragility on Su Wan's face finally began to crack. An outsider, otherwise, I asked, what is your relation to the child? She was left speechless. I don't care what your relationship with Xia Linchuan is, but as for the relationship with my child, I'd like you to make it clear right now. Mother, guardian, authorized visitor, neither. I looked at her and said, word by word, then you're an outsider. The hospital room was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Su Wan looked terribly pale. Xia Linchuan's hand tightened slightly around the documents. I knew this sentence would cut her deeper than all the previous refutations combined, because what she wanted most was to get past me and insert herself between the child and Xia Linchuan. But the child is not a prop for her to put on a show, nor is it her ticket into the Xia family. The supervisor stood by, not daring to utter a single word of persuasion. Su Wei was still keeping score. The faint sound of sirens came from downstairs. Su Wan's gaze wavered noticeably for a moment upon hearing the sound. She instinctively looked back at the crib. Just then, the baby in the crib suddenly began to cry, a very soft sound, like a kitten. My heart clenched instantly, just as I was about to reach out and prop myself up. Su Wan lunged over even faster than me. She moved so hastily that she even forgot to feign fragility. The baby, Su Wei immediately stepped in front of the crib. Miss Su, Xia Linchuan also suddenly grasped her wrist. What are you doing? Su Wan froze, her face turning pale. I was just worried about the baby. Su Wan, with her wrist held by Xia Linchuan, stood frozen in front of the crib. She reacted quickly, tears immediately welling up in her eyes. Linchuan, you're hurting me. Xia Linchuan's fingers paused, seizing the moment. She looked at me with reddened eyes. Ziyi, I just saw the baby crying so badly and wanted to help you soothe him. Why are you always thinking the worst of me? I look at her. Soothe him? I asked. Do you need to lunge at him to soothe him? The nurse stopped you, and you still pushed forward. Su Wan, when you used to calm children, did you rely on sprinting? Su Wei's hands, holding the child, paused slightly. The supervisor stood beside her, looking even paler than before. Su Wan's tears paused for a moment. She bit her lip, as if she had suffered an enormous injustice. Sis, you're way too sensitive right now. I'm just worried about the child, so you bypassed the child's own mother and the nurse, and went straight to the crib. I looked at her. Are you worried about the child, or worried that the child is still with me? Su Wan's face changed. Xia Linchuan snapped his head toward her. She immediately shook her head. No, that's not true, Linchuan, don't listen to her nonsense. She's just trying to turn everyone against her. I laughed. Su Wan, don't be so quick to pin that label on me. Everyone in the hospital room saw you when you lunged just now. Why don't you show us right here how a normal person, just looking at a child, manages to get a running start? Xia Linchuan's hand still grasped Su Wan, but this time, he did not let go. Su Wan's expression finally began to crack. She was no longer just crying. Her tone grew urgent as well. I'm just afraid something will happen to the child. You've been stopping everyone, not letting anyone get near the child. Who knows if you're feeling guilty? Guilty? I look at her. I feel guilty, so I call the police. I feel guilty, so I ask to seal the surveillance footage. Guilty conscience. That's why I'm asking you to explain the source of the sample. Su Wan, people with a guilty conscience usually don't like the police showing up, like you. The hospital room fell silent for a moment. Su Wan's face turned pale. Xia Linchuan's eyes darkened even more. Just then, footsteps were heard in the corridor. 2 police officers entered the hospital room. The leading police officer scanned the scene, first looking at the child in Su Wei's arms, then at me. Who called the police? Su Wei immediately said, I called the police. I took over. It was me who asked her to. I am Lin Ziyi from delivery room 302. These unauthorized individuals entered the maternal and infant care area at 2 a.m. and attempted to take my child away. Su Wan immediately spoke up. That's not true, officer. We didn't kidnap the child. Xia Linchuan is the child's father. We were just worried about her poor mental state after giving birth. I looked at her. Look, the police just arrived, and you're already playing doctor again. The police looked at Su Wan. Are you a doctor? Su Wan froze. I am not. Then what medical diagnostic evidence do you have? Su Wan opened her mouth but couldn't say a word. I leaned against the headboard and slowly added, she has a postpartum mental disorder assessment. Su Wan's eyes lit up, as if she had finally grasped a lifeline. The next second, I added, but the evaluation was scheduled for the day before I gave birth. In other words, before I even entered the postpartum period, she had already experienced postpartum abnormalities on my behalf. The police officer looked down at the document. His expression visibly froze. Su Wei added from the side, this document was not issued by our center, nor is there any confirmation record from the parturian herself. The police officer nodded and put the document into the evidence bag. Su Wan's expression grew even more grim. Xia Linchuan stood by, and for the first time, did not speak up for her. Su Wan grew anxious. She turned to look at him. Linchuan, say something. Xia Linchuan looked down at her. First, make it clear. Who gave you the sample? Su Wan's body stiffened. I smiled. Xia Linchuan had finally asked the right question, though a little late. Su Wan bit her lip. Someone reminded me. Who reminded you? The police officer asked. Her voice trailed off. Anonymous message. I almost burst out laughing. What a coincidence. You're all being anonymous today. The psychiatric evaluator isn't here. The parent-child samples were given anonymously, and snatching the child away is also for my own good. Su Wan, is your team's motto that no one takes responsibility? The police officer glanced at me. Su Wei lowered her head and pressed her lips together. The supervisor stood at the door, not daring to interrupt at all. The police asked me, what is your current demand? I glanced at Su Wan. It's simple. She called me crazy, so I want to verify the source of the diagnosis. She said the child is not Xia Linchuan's, so I want to verify the source of the sample. She said she was just worried about the child. I need to check if she came by last night. I paused. After all, every move she made tonight was too familiar. Doesn't feel like her first time. Su Wan looked up abruptly. Lin Ziyi, what gives you the right to say that? The way you were more anxious than me, her own mother. Just now, I said, the moment the baby cried, your first reaction wasn't to call a nurse or ask what happened. You lunged straight over. Su Wan, a newborn only 3 days old, is most vulnerable to external impact and infection. You understand postpartum risks so well, so why don't you understand this? Su Wan's face turned pale, choked by the retort. The police officer looked toward the supervisor. Can the surveillance and access records be retrieved now? The supervisor immediately nodded. Yes, yes. I look at her. From last night as well. The supervisor was stunned. Last night. I looked at Su Wan. I suspect it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. She might have been here before. Su Wan's face changed instantly. In that very moment, Xia Linchuan saw it, the police saw it too. I slowly smiled. Looks like I guessed right. Su Wan immediately retorted, don't try to trick me, bluff you. I nodded, fine, let's check the surveillance footage. If you never came, the footage will clear your name. Isn't a clean record what you love most? Su Wan was speechless, her fingers gripped the strap of her bag tightly, her knuckles turning white. The supervisor sent someone to check the surveillance footage. The hospital room fell silent for a moment. The child was crying somewhat urgently. Su Wei held the child, gently soothing him for a moment, then placed him back by my side. I reached out and touched his little face. He gradually calmed down. I didn't look up, but I could feel Xia Linchuan staring at me. It was probably the first time he realized I wasn't just making a scene. What a pity. Realizing it now doesn't count as being sober, it counts as a makeup exam. 10 minutes later, the supervisor returned with a tablet. Her expression was grim. Officer, Miss Su did come by at 9:42 last night. Su Wan's head snapped up. I didn't. The supervisor handed over the surveillance footage. In the footage, a woman wearing a mask and a gray coat enters through a side door. She is heavily covered, but the pearl bracelet on her wrist is very conspicuous. Su Wan is also wearing it today. The police officer looked at her hand. Su Wan instinctively hid her hand deeper into her sleeve. I look at her. What a coincidence. Your bracelet also appeared anonymously. Xia Linchuan's expression completely changed. Su Wan, his voice was extremely deep. Did you come by last night? Su Wan's eyes were red. I was just worried about my sister, worried about me. So you wore a mask and took the side door in the middle of the night? I asked. What? Not allowed to care through the front door. Su Wan's voice sharpened under my pressure. Lin Ziyi, you don't have to keep nitpicking over these details. Details? I look at her. The source of the psychological evaluation is in the details. The DNA test sample is in the details. Going to the postpartum care center in the middle of the night is also in the details. So what is the main point? The crucial part is after you take the child away, right? Su Wan turned pale. The police officer then asked the supervisor, whose access card did she swipe? The supervisor's voice dropped even lower. It's not a visitor registration, it's an internal employee card. Whose is it? The supervisor looked at Su Wei. Chenli. Su Wei frowned. She's not on duty tonight. I look up. Call her in. The supervisor hesitated a bit. Now, I looked at her. Why, an outsider can use your center staff's access card to get into the maternal and child area. Is that also something to be handled through internal coordination? The supervisor immediately fell silent. The police officer also glanced at her. Contact them now. 15 minutes later, Chenli was brought in. She was a caregiver in her 30s, her hair hastily tied up. Clearly having been woken up on short notice. As soon as she entered and saw the police, her legs nearly gave way. Officer, I don't know anything. I look at her. I haven't even asked yet, and you're already saying you don't know. This opening statement isn't very auspicious. Chenli's face turned pale. Su Wan immediately spoke up. I don't know her. Chenli suddenly looked up and shot a glance at Su Wan, just that one glance, and the whole room understood. I laughed. Su Wan, you don't know her. Why is she looking at you, when she sees a stranger? Her first reaction isn't fear. It's to check your expression. That's a pretty distant relationship. Su Wan gritted her teeth. Lin Ziyi, don't talk nonsense. I ignored her and looked at Chenli. Last night at 9:42, someone used your access card to enter the side gate. The person on the surveillance camera was wearing the same bracelet as Su Wan. Now you're saying you don't know. Are you implying your card grew legs and ran off on its own? Chenli's lips trembled. I might have lost my card. Lost it? I nodded. When did you lose it? She froze. Yesterday night. What time? I don't remember. Did you report it after losing it? She couldn't speak. I look at her. Chenli, failing to report a lost access card, which allowed an outsider to enter the maternity area. If it were just this, you'd at most lose your job, but if you helped someone obtain newborn information, cooperated in falsifying a paternity test, or even prepared to transfer a child, I paused. Then it wouldn't just be losing my job. The color drained from Chenli's face. The police officer looked at her. You'd better tell the truth. Chenli's gaze wavered. Su Wan immediately interrupted. Officer, she doesn't know anything at all. Lin Ziyi is just trying to scare her. I looked at Su Wan. You're so eager to speak for her, and yet you said you don't know her. Su Wan's lips froze. Chenli also froze. The hospital room was silent for 2 seconds. Xia Linchuan closed his eyes, as if something had finally struck him. I continued asking Chenli, how much money did she give you? Chen Li subconsciously shook her head. No. Is that enough for you to take the fall for her newborn trafficking? Chen Li's head snapped up. I didn't traffic anyone. Then make it clear. I stared at her. What did she ask you to do? Just swipe the card, or scan the child's wristband, or help her prepare the transfer procedures. As soon as the last 4 words were spoken, Chen Li shuddered. All over, my heart sank. Bingo. Su Wan also panicked. Chen Li, don't let her trick you into talking. The officer immediately looked at Su Wan. Miss Su, please do not interfere with the questioning. Su Wan's lips turned pale. Chen Li couldn't hold on any longer. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed to her knees on the ground. I really didn't know she wanted to harm the child. I thought she just wanted to confirm the child's identity. She said the child might not be Miss Lin's, that Mr. Xie had been deceived. Su Wan screamed. You're lying. Chen Li burst into tears. I'm not making things up. You're the one who told me to take a picture of the wristband. You told me to take a picture of the child's nursing ID tag. You also asked me to send you the nighttime round schedule. You said that as long as I helped you prepare the temporary transfer paperwork, you'd take care of the rest. The ward fell completely silent. Even the child seemed startled by the atmosphere, letting out a soft sniffle. Xie Linchuan slowly turned his head to look at Su Wan. The look in his eyes was finally no longer one of suspicion, it was shock. Transfer procedures. The last trace of color drained from Su Wan's face. No, that's not true, Linchuan. It's not what you think. I look at her. Then what is it? Is it that you've arranged for the baby to be transferred to another hospital just 3 days after he was born? Or that you've already decided for me, his own mother, before I've even signed the papers? Su Wan's voice trembled. I was afraid you might hurt the child, so where are you planning to transfer the child? I asked. She didn't speak. I looked at Chen Li. The name of the hospital. Chen Li cried so hard that her shoulders were shaking. I don't know the full name. She only sent me a transfer template. It says. She trembled as she pulled out her phone. Heian Children's Rehabilitation Hospital. When the police officer uttered that name, the hospital room fell silent for a moment. I didn't cry, didn't call out either, just looked down at the child in my arms. He was still so small, exhausted from crying, his wet lashes clinging together, his little fingers gripping my hospital gown as if holding on to the whole world. I looked up at Su Wan. Hai Ren, a quite familiar name. In the previous life, they told me that was where the child died despite resuscitation efforts. I didn't even get to see him for one last time. Su Wan's face was pale, as if she weren't alive. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't matter that you don't know. I nodded. Let me ask you a few simple ones. The wristband. It was you who told Chen Li to take the photo. The nursing video. You asked Chen Li to shoot it. It was you who asked Chen Li to send it during the night patrol time. The transfer template was also something you prepared in advance. I looked at her and asked, word by word, Su Wan, are you worried about the child, or arrange a route for the child in advance? Su Wan's lips trembled. I just want to transfer the child to a safer place. Safety. I smiled. Then why don't you follow the proper procedure? Why didn't you notify me, the mother? Why not apply in the name of Xie Linchuan, the father? Why have a caregiver secretly take a photo of the wristband? Why did you bring people to rob it in the middle of the night? No one spoke in the hospital room. Even Xie Linchuan was frozen in place. Su Wan gripped her bag strap tightly, her knuckles turning pale. Because you wouldn't agree. Yes, I nodded. A normal mother wouldn't agree to let a strange woman take her child to an unfamiliar hospital in the middle of the night. This isn't calling me difficult. This is what I call my brain still working. Su Wei looked down at the notebook. The tip of her pen pausing for a moment. The supervisor's expression turned even uglier, as if he wished he could disappear from the hospital room right then and there. Xie Linchuan finally spoke, his voice a little hoarse. Su Wan, why is it Hai Ren? Su Wan jerked her head to look at him. Linchuan, are you suspecting me too? I'm asking you why now. He stared at her. I'm not asking if you feel wronged. As soon as these words fell, the vulnerability on Su Wan's face finally cracked even more visibly. She stepped back half a pace, tears still falling, but her eyes were no longer as soft as before. I did all of this for you, I softly said. Oh, for him, you stole my child's information. It was for him that you fabricated my psychological evaluation. For his sake, you're planning to transfer my son out of here. Su Wan, for him, set menu. Are the victims defaulted to me and the child? The bodyguard at the door lowered his head again. Xie Linchuan's face gradually turned pale. Su Wan, as if stung by those words, suddenly raised her voice. If you hadn't given birth to this child, would I have ended up like this? The ward fell Completely silent, the police officer looked up at her. Xia Linchuan was also stunned. I look at her, continue. Su Wan realized she had misspoken and immediately shut her mouth. I, however, had no intention of letting her off. You just said, if I hadn't given birth to this child, so you hate him very much. Su Wan's eyes suddenly trembled. I leaned back, the pain from the wound making my voice weak, but I enunciated every word clearly. The psychiatric evaluation is to prove I'm insane, the paternity test is to prove the child is illegitimate. The hospital transfer is to take him out of my sight. Hiren Hospital is your next stop, and you're ready for it. I look at her. Su Wan, from the very beginning, you never intended to let him live. Su Wan screamed. Shut up. The child, startled by her voice, stirred slightly. I immediately lowered my head to soothe him. Su Wei also instinctively stepped forward, positioning himself between the crib and Su Wan. The police officer frowned. Miss Su, please control your emotions. Su Wan was panting, her eyes gradually losing focus. On what grounds? Why does she get to have this child without doing anything at all? As long as this child is alive, everyone in the Xia family will have their eyes on him. As long as this child is alive, I will never be able to set foot in the Xia family's door in this lifetime. I've been with Linchuan for so many years. What is she compared to me? Xia Linchuan's face turned pale. Su Wan, shut up. Su Wan suddenly turned to look at him. Now you're pretending to be sober again. I said she was crazy, and you believed me. I told you the child might not be yours, and you believed it. I said taking the child away is for his own good, and didn't you bring him along as well? She let out a laugh, tears still on her face, yet her expression was somewhat twisted. Xia Linchuan, if I hadn't called the police tonight, you would have taken the child away long ago. The hospital room was deathly silent. Xia Linchuan looked as if he had been slapped in the face, his entire body frozen stiff. I watched him. Did you hear that? That part, at least, is true. His Adam's apple bobbed, but no words came out. Su Wan was still laughing. Why are you looking at me like that now? Do you think I'm a bad person? But every time, you were the one who believed me first. When Lin Ziyi cried, you thought she was making a scene. When she tried to explain, you thought she was making excuses. When she called the police, you still thought she had lost her mind. She looked at me, the malice in her eyes barely concealed. She just got a little smarter all of a sudden. Shut up. Xia Linchuan abruptly interrupted her, but it was already too late. She had already said everything she should and shouldn't have said. I looked at the police officer. Is what happened just now enough to add to the statement? The police officer nodded. It will be recorded. Su Wan finally realized that she had completely lost control. She wanted to step back, but was stopped by the police. Miss Su, you need to come back with us for questioning. She panicked. Linchuan. Xia Linchuan did not move. Su Wan looked at him in disbelief. You won't help me. Xia Linchuan's voice was hoarse. You want to harm my child. Your child. Su Wan laughed as if she had just heard a joke. Weren't you just doubting he isn't yours? Xia Linchuan's face turned pale. This time, he wasn't even qualified to argue. I held the child and gently patted his back. Xia Linchuan, he snapped his head toward me. Stop playing the victim here. You weren't deceived. You were too lazy to check. He seemed pinned down by those words. I continued. I said I'm not crazy, but you didn't check the diagnosis. I said the child can't be taken away, but you didn't verify the authorization. Su Wan said the child isn't yours, but you didn't test the samples. She said it's for the child's good, but you didn't even ask where the child was being taken. Now that the truth is right in front of you, you're only starting to regret it. I watched him. That regret of yours sure knows how to pick a safe time. Su Wei's pen tip paused on the paper for a moment. The supervisor's forehead was covered in sweat. Xia Linchuan's lips moved slightly. Ziyi, don't say my name. I interrupted him. Xia Linchuan's eyes reddened in an instant. If this were my previous life, I might have softened. I would have thought that he had finally realized his mistake, but now I only find it noisy. Su Wan was still struggling as she was taken away. She shouted at me with reddened eyes. Lin Ziyi, do you think you've won? Even without me, the Xia family won't let you take the child away. I look at her. Then let the Xia family wait in line. The police line is over here first. The court line is at the back. Su Wan's face twisted in a momentary grimace. The police escorted her out of the hospital room. Chen-Li was also taken away. The supervisor's legs went weak, and he had to steady himself against the doorframe. The ward finally fell silent. The child fell asleep in my arms. A tiny breath pressed against my palm, light and rhythmic. Xia Linchuan stood there, as if suddenly unsure where to put his hands. His voice came out hoarse. Lin Ziyi, I know it's too late for anything I say now. Good that you know, I said. Then don't say it. I looked at the supervisor. The records I asked for just now. Please fill them in right now. The supervisor immediately nodded. Fill them in, right away, and also the entry record for Mr. Xia and his party tonight. I want it too. The supervisor cautiously glanced at Xia Linchuan. Xia Linchuan's voice was low and hoarse. Give it to her. I laughed. Mr. Xia has finally learned to follow the procedure. Good, but next time you learn something new, I suggest you don't practice on someone else's child. Xia Linchuan's shoulders stiffened. He said in a low voice. The child is mine too. The atmosphere in the hospital room turned cold again. I watched him. So what? He looked up. I have the right to know his condition, and I have the right to see him. Rights? I nodded. Fine, then let's continue talking about rights. You broke into the hospital room tonight with someone without my permission. You tried to take the child away using unverified documents. You coordinated with Su Wan to create on-site pressure against me. You nearly sent the child down the path she had arranged. I looked at him and asked, sentence by sentence, do you think writing these into the report will help you fight for visitation rights in the future? Xia Linchuan froze completely. The supervisor took a breath. Su Wei continued writing notes with her head down. Xia Linchuan's voice tightened. Are you going to restrict my visitation rights? Yes, I refuse to allow you access to the child until the investigation is complete. The terms of future visitation will be decided by the court. His eyes were bloodshot. Must you be so heartless? I smiled. Here it comes again. You snatch the child and call it, for the child's good. I protect the child, and that's called epic. Xia Linchuan, you'd better update your vocabulary. His Adam's apple moved, but no words came out. I looked down at the child, and one more thing, I want a divorce. This time, Xia Linchuan's face turned completely pale. Ziyi, I want custody of the child. I want the Xia family to publicly clarify that I do not have postpartum psychosis, have not had an affair, and have not harmed the child. I want backup copies of all records from tonight. I want Su Wan and everyone involved to take responsibility. I looked up at him. These are not up for discussion, it's a notice. He looked at me, and for the first time, there was panic in his eyes. Are you really going to go this far? It's not that I want to go this far, I said. You guys have already gotten this far. I'm just filling in the records. Xia Linchuan's eyes grew even redder. He said in a low voice, I was wrong. If you were wrong, cooperate with the investigation. It was as if my words stunned him into silence. After a long while, he asked, You're really not giving me any chance at all. I watched him. I've begged you so many times, begged you to trust me, begged you not to take the child away, begged you to at least listen to my explanation once, but you never once listened. He stood there frozen. I didn't look at him again. Nurse Su, could you please check if the child was frightened? Just now. Su Wei immediately stepped forward. After checking, she said softly, She's fine for now. She cried and then fell asleep. Su Wei finished speaking and glanced at Xia Linchuan. Mr. Xia, both the mother and the newborn need rest. Please leave first. Xia Linchuan didn't move. He looked at me, his voice hoarse and strained. Ziyi, I was wrong. I nodded. It's good that you realize your mistake. A glimmer of light had just begun to appear in his eyes. I continued, When you give your statement later, remember to tell the truth. That glimmer of light went out. Xia Linchuan stood there for a long time, but in the end, he left. Su Wan, Chenli, and the hospital transfer paperwork were all taken to the police station. The postpartum care center sealed off the surveillance cameras and access control overnight. The supervisor came to see me the next day and said the center would take full responsibility. I asked her, responsible up to what point? She froze. I said, including it in written materials. Verbal responsibility doesn't count as real responsibility. The supervisor's lips twitched, but in the end, he dutifully submitted the missing documents. 3 days later, the Xia family came by once. They said they wanted to sit down and talk. I asked, what's there to talk about? The other party said, after all, Mr. Xia is the child's father. I said, then please also bring the record of him bringing people to snatch the child in the middle of the night. There was silence from the other side. I didn't discuss the rest privately after that. The divorce went through the court. The custody dispute will go through the court. Clarification and accountability will also follow the proper procedures. The Xia family wants to save face. I'll first make sure they learn to follow the rules. Xia Linchuan had also been there. That day, I was just about to leave the postpartum care center with the child. He stood at the door, his eyes bloodshot. Ziyi, can I take a look at him? I Looked down at the child in my arms. He was sleeping soundly, his tiny hand clutching the front of my shirt. I said, "No, Xia Linchuan's Adam's apple moved. I just wanted to take a look." "Now you say you only wanted a look." I looked up at him. "Did you give me a choice when you carried him away?" "No." His face went pale. "Ziyi, I don't know." "You call that not knowing?" I said. "You just couldn't be bothered to look it up." He stood there, his eyes slowly turning red. "I really know I was wrong." I nodded. "Then make fewer mistakes from now on." He froze. I walked past him, holding the child. After a few steps, he called out from behind, "Are you really not going to give me any chance at all?" I paused for a moment. "Xia Linchuan, I did give you chances. I used to always wait for you to trust me. This time, I'll wait for the police. They'll get here faster than you." With that, I got into the car. The moment the car door closed, the child stirred in my arms. I looked down and kissed his forehead. After being reborn, I didn't rush to take revenge. I called the police first. After all, some people can't stand the light. Once the lights come on, they start to panic. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After I passed the civil service exam, my cousin grew jealous. Under the pretense of congratulating me, she handed me a drink laced with paraquat. Unaware of the danger, I drank it all in one go. Only after I had finished the drink did my cousin break down in tears, pretending to be remorseful. "I didn't mean to give my sister paraquat to drink. I just accidentally grabbed the wrong thing." My parents were terrified and wanted to send me to the hospital, but my cousin's family stopped them. Just like that, I died in agony at home. After my death, my parents were heartbroken and wanted to call the police for help, but was pushed into the river and drowned by my cousin's family. After starting over again, when my cousin apologized to me once more, my expression remained terrified, and I seemed to say with great concern, "I just gave all the drinks to your parents and brother." "Sis, you really know how to keep a secret. You waited until you were settled before telling US relatives. If it weren't for uncles suddenly hosting a banquet, we still wouldn't know. Could it be that you don't trust us and deliberately kept it hidden?" Cousin Tang Shiyu pouted, her words dripping with insinuation. The relatives at the table naturally nodded in agreement, each one following Tang Shiyu's lead and continuing to press the issue. "Sherwen, we're all family. How could you think of us that way?" "Exactly. Do you think we would ever harm you? Girls really do have such bad intentions." If my Junjie were to take the civil service exam, he would definitely tell everyone right away so we could all share in the joy. In my previous life, hearing these words, I would have blushed with embarrassment, explaining that I wasn't like that, yet still enduring their disdain. But this time, I wasn't angry. Instead, I smiled and said, "I never thought that way, but since you, Shiyu, said it so smoothly, could it be that you're projecting your own thoughts onto others?" I've always been a quiet and reserved person, and this was the first time I had ever spoken back to Tang Shiyu. Her expression changed, but she quickly put on a pitiful look and said, "Sis, how could you say that about me? I've always been a bit slow since I was little, not as clever as you." I didn't object. Instead, I nodded. "You're not wrong about that. Everyone in our Tang family is tall, fair-skinned, and smart, only you are short, chubby, and foolish. I wonder who you take after." Aunt Li Yueju slapped the table and stood up. "Tang Sherwen, what nonsense are you talking?" I pretended to cover my mouth. "Aunt, why are you so angry?" "I was just speaking casually. I didn't mean it." Could it be that my cousin Li Yueju was so furious she nearly flipped over, wishing she could beat me up on the spot, watching the farce before me? I can only find it amusing. Can't they handle just these two sentences? In my previous life, I successfully passed the civil service exam, becoming the first person in the area to secure a stable job. My parents were overjoyed and specially invited several relatives over for a meal at home. At the dinner table, Tang Shiyu sneered at me, saying I looked down on everyone, which led to all the relatives forming a poor impression of me and directly criticizing me during the meal. I was scolded until I was dizzy and parched. Seizing the moment, Tang Shiyu handed me a bottle of soda, saying it was to congratulate me and also to apologize. Relieved, I drank it all in one go without a second thought, but an hour after drinking it, I was in excruciating abdominal pain. It was only then that Tang Sherwen tearfully apologized. "Sister, I'm so clumsy. The drink I just gave you was actually mixed with paraquat, which I intended to use to poison the little bugs. I never expected to give it to you by mistake. Please don't blame me, okay? I really didn't mean to." By then, I was already vomiting blood and couldn't utter a single word. My parents were furious and wanted to call an ambulance to take me to the hospital, but my uncle Tang Yuchuan's family, along with all the relatives present, strongly objected. They bluntly stated that even if I were sent to the hospital, there was no saving me. However, if I were taken to the hospital, Tang Shiyu would end up in prison for murder. Brother, Sherwin is already dying, you can't be so selfish as to ruin my Shiyu's life too. My parents were frail and weak, no match for Tang Yuchuan and Tang Shiyu's brother, Tang Sikong. Just like that, I died in agony. After my death, my soul lingered, drifting through the village, watching helplessly as Tang Shiyu's family pushed my parents, who were about to call the police, into the river to drown them, then staged it to look like a suicide. After our entire family died, Tang Shiyu's family simply seized our property, and with my death, she took over the job that was rightfully mine. It dawned on me later that none of this was accidental. It was all part of Tang Shiyu's long-planned scheme, aimed at killing my entire family so she could reap the benefits without lifting a finger. My memories were interrupted by the commotion before me. Tang Yuchuan, inexplicably branded with the label of a cuckold, was furious and said, "Fine, you dare speak to your elders like this as soon as you pass the exam, I'll go report you right now. Let's see if the country will accept a piece of trash like you who shows no respect for your elders." Mom and Dad are timid and gentle, so naturally they kept apologizing, tugging at my sleeve and saying, "Sherwin, hurry up and apologize to your uncle and aunt." I sighed unhurriedly. "Uncle, I didn't mean it. Usually, when Shiyu says things about me, you always say, Shiyu is still a child. Shiyu and I are the same age, so why are you taking it so seriously with me? Besides, I was just following along with what my sister said. It was clearly my sister who started it, so how can you blame me? The Tang family rarely produces someone who has successfully made it ashore, and since I'm not at the point of dying yet, everyone started smoothing things over." "Exactly. Wasn't it your own daughter who said she wasn't good at this or that?" "It wasn't Sherwin who said it, so how can you blame Sherwin?" "Alright, they're just kids. Today is a joyous occasion, let's not make a fuss. You're sure you was never as good as Sherwin to begin with?" Denying it won't change anything. Tang Shiyu's face turned dark, but I continued, "Second uncle, you really shouldn't say that. Actually, what everyone might not know is that Shiyu also took the civil service exam. It's just that I came in first, and she came in second, so she didn't pass." I sighed and continued, "Maybe that's why Shiyu is jealous of me and deliberately said that at the dinner table, trying to get everyone to blame me." Tang Shiyu awkwardly shook her head, wanting to explain, but I cut her off. "But little sister, it's really not appropriate for you to use our closest family members as pawns like this." Everyone wasn't a fool. Of course they understood Tang Shiyu's intentions. Moreover, Tang Shiyu had just said I didn't tell everyone about the civil service exam, but she herself had never announced her own civil service exam plans. The relatives were all fuming, no longer speaking, and an eerie silence fell over the banquet. Tang Shiyu was so angry at my word-by-word rebuttal that she couldn't speak. Tang Sikong, seeing his parents and sister defeated by my few words, put down his chopsticks, cleared his throat, and said, "Sherwin, as a girl, how will you ever get married with such a sharp tongue? You don't think you're something special just because you passed the civil service exam, do you? Let me tell you, times have changed. It's not the iron rice bowl it used to be. Nowadays, money is what really matters. Understand?" I nodded. "I understand, brother. So, after graduating from college all these years, where are you working now? With such a silver tongue, how come you still haven't found a wife?" Tang Sikong stammered, unable to get a word out, and could only lower his head to focus on the braised pork. I, however, felt incredibly refreshed. It turns out that losing all sense of decency really does make a person feel more spirited. Although the entire Tang family was left speechless, I had no intention of letting them off the hook. Instead, I continued, I really don't understand your family. None of you have jobs, and you can't even pass the civil service exams. What are you going to do in the future? But don't worry, if I can help you in the future, I definitely will. After all, we're family." Tang Shiyu was so furious she was nearly breathless, her chest heaving violently and her face turning pale. She couldn't hold back any longer and pulled a bottle of drink from her bag, handing it to me. "Sister, you're right, I'll definitely learn more from you in the future. This is your favorite drink, so I bought it especially for you. You must be thirsty after talking so much. Go ahead and drink it." My eyebrows twitched. It really worked, in my previous life. Tang Shiyu brought it out only after I had finished eating, so This time I deliberately provoked her just to make her take it out earlier. I smiled, took the drink with a normal expression. The drink was colorless and transparent, looking almost like plain water, making it all too suitable for poisoning. After taking the drink, I didn't drink it. Instead, I touched it and said with a bit of displeasure, "On such a hot day, you've kept this drink so warm. How can I drink it? I remember your brother likes cold drinks. Hurry home and get me some ice cubes." Tang Sikong stood up. "Don't push your luck. Drink it if you want, or forget it. If you don't even think about ordering my sister around." I nodded in agreement. "Then forget it, I'll pass for now. Thank you for your kindness, little sister." Tang Shiyu quickly stood up, looking aggrieved. "It's fine, brother, I'll go. I did make a mistake and offended my sister earlier. I should apologize. It's my own fault for being so clumsy. I should run errands for my sister." With that, she left my house with a pained expression. The other relatives at the table also looked displeased. An older grandfather even spoke up directly. "Sherwin, you're being a bit too harsh. Shiyu is your sister. Even if she made a mistake, you shouldn't make things so difficult for her." I suddenly seemed to realize that I had gone too far, so I stood up and poured each of the three a glass of the drink I was holding, then casually tossed the empty bottle at my feet. Then, I took out another identical bottle from behind me, poured myself a glass, placed the remaining drink by my side, raised my glass, and said apologetically, "Uncle, aunt, brother, I might have had a bit too much beer earlier, and my mind wasn't quite right. Please don't hold it against me. I sincerely apologize and ask for your forgiveness. I'll finish this as a gesture of respect." With that, I downed the drink in one gulp. However, the three members of the Tang family just snorted coldly, still angry and unwilling to drink. I wasn't in a hurry either. After all, Tang Shiyu would find a way to make them drink later. Tang Shiyu brought the ice cubes over, panting heavily, but I set them aside without saying I needed them. Maybe it's because the air conditioning is on, but the drink is still quite cold after sitting for a while. I think it's just right to drink it like this. "Sorry for making you run around for nothing. Don't be mad." Tang Shiyu was angry but didn't dare to say anything. "It's fine, sister can do whatever she wants." "I'm not angry." Although she said she wasn't angry, she filled her own glass with beer and poured me another drink from the one by my hand. "Sis, I know I've offended you many times in the past, but I never meant to. I'm just a bit clumsy, but my heart isn't bad. Let me toast you, and let everything from the past be in the past." "Okay," I nodded, putting on a moved expression as I raised my drink, but I wasn't in a hurry to drink. Instead, I turned to the others and said, "Let's all raise our glasses together. As a witness, let's forget everything from the past. From now on, I will definitely respect my elders and keep my big mouth in check." Tang Yuchuan, Li Yueju, and Tang Sikong were still angry and refused to raise their glasses no matter what. I wasn't in a hurry either. I just held up my glass and waited. Although I wasn't anxious, Tang Shiyu was almost frantic with worry. She was afraid I wouldn't drink the beverage, laced with paraquat, and worried that if too much time passed, their scheme would be exposed. She quickly pleaded with her parents and brother, "Mom, Dad, brother, please just drink it. It's better to resolve a feud than to let it fester. Do it for my sake." "Okay, I'll take all the blame. Is that enough?" Tang Yuchuan and the others doted on Tang Shiyu the most. Otherwise, they wouldn't have resorted to murder in the previous life. So, after a bit of hesitation and amidst my apologies, they reluctantly raised their glasses and, along with me, drank every last drop of the beverage. Almost simultaneously, Tang Shiyu and I both let out a sigh of relief. I just wonder if Tang Shiyu will regret it later when she finds out it was me who persuaded her parents to drink the paraquat. Tang Shiyu worried that the dosage wasn't enough, so she poured another glass of wine and clinked glasses with me. Naturally, I didn't refuse and drank the beverage clean. Just like that, the dinner table regained its lively atmosphere, with everyone toasting and drinking, having a great time. It wasn't until the dinner ended and a few relatives were sitting in the hall chatting that my expression changed. Tang Shiyu quickly asked with concern, "Sister, what's wrong?" I awkwardly said, "I feel a bit of a stomachache." Tang Sikong seized the opportunity to belittle me and immediately spoke up, "A wild boar can't handle fine grains, huh? I saw you stuffing yourself with all the delicious food earlier, and now look at you, you've overeaten, haven't you?" I just put on a pained expression, unable to bear it, and didn't argue back. Just at that moment, Tang Shiyu made a fuss, holding the drink bottle I had just used, and screamed, "Oh no, sister, I think I grabbed the wrong drink. The one you just drank was the one I mixed with paraquat to use for killing bugs. I'm really so clumsy. I can't even handle such a small thing properly. Sister, are you okay? You won't be mad at me, will you? Maybe you should spit out the drink. Perhaps if you spit it out, you'll be fine." Upon hearing this, my parents were so frightened that they dropped several bowls. They didn't have time to figure out who was responsible and immediately grabbed their phones to call an ambulance. However, Tang Shiyu snatched the phone from my parents' hands and immediately knelt down. "Uncle, you can't call an ambulance. If you do, everyone will think I intentionally poisoned her. I could go to jail. I'm only in my 20s. I can't go to jail. You can't do this to me. I've always treated you like my own parents." As Tang Shiyu spoke, she gave Tang Yuchuan a meaningful look. Tang Yuchuan immediately understood Tang Shiyu's meaning and, together with Tang Sikong, pressed my parents onto the sofa one by one. "Brother, this is no joke. Our Shiyu didn't do it on purpose. If you're angry, you can hit or scold her, but you can't call the police or an ambulance." Yes, big brother and sister-in-law, you can't be so selfish. Just because your own daughter is dying doesn't mean you should drag my daughter down with her. Li Yueju suppressed a laugh, tightly holding my mother's hand, and said to the relatives watching the commotion, "Don't worry, everyone, once Shiyu replaces Sherwin, she will also bring benefits to all of you. Think about it, Sherwin is definitely beyond saving now. Our family has already lost one daughter, we can't afford to lose another." The relatives' expressions remained unchanged, only nodding vaguely as if trying to smooth things over. I was in so much pain that I couldn't speak, sitting on the sofa looking like I was about to die. My parents were so anxious that they lost their temper for the first time. "What do you mean by accident? I think you did it on purpose. Let me go right now. I'm calling an ambulance, and I'm calling the police. Even if I die, I won't let you get away with this." "That's right, you deliberately poisoned Sherwin just so Shiyu could take her place. I won't allow it." But my parents' strength was limited. Furious and almost spitting blood, they still couldn't break free. After nearly an hour of this standoff, I finally recovered from the pain and weakly said, "Mom, Dad, don't worry, I just ate too much, I'm fine now." Tang Shiyu was taken aback for a moment, then said, "How is that possible? You drank paraquat. How could you be fine?" I sighed and said with full vigor, "I didn't drink the beverage you gave me. I just gave all of it to your parents and brother to drink. Don't you remember? I drank my own drink." As soon as I said this, Tang Yuchuan, Li Yueju, and Tang Sikong all changed their expressions at once, clutching their stomachs as sweat poured down their faces. The three of them, clutching their stomachs and lying limp on the ground, immediately changed the situation. All the relatives were stunned, standing frozen in place. Tang Yuchuan weakly said to my father, "Brother, hurry, call an ambulance, please save us." Li Yueju pointed at me and said, "Did you do this on purpose? I wondered why you were suddenly so kind, apologizing to us for no reason and insisting we drink that beverage. Did you know there was something wrong with it?" I found it all quite amusing, but I knew I couldn't laugh at this moment, so I pretended to be frightened, looking at the three of them wailing in pain. "Aunt, how could I have possibly known in advance that my sister was going to poison me? You must be joking. I can't predict the future. If I really could, then as the saying goes, an eye for an eye. I should have targeted Shiryu. Why would I want to harm you?" Once I said this, no one could argue. This was exactly why I had given the beverage to the three of them instead of Tang Shiyu. Tang Sikong tugged at my father's pants leg, pleading, Uncle, please save me. I've called you Dad since I was little. You can't just stand by and watch me die." This wasn't an exaggeration, but Tang Sikong called my father Dad, not out of affection. It was simply because my father had no sons, and their family wanted to inherit our family's assets through this method. If it weren't for the fact that they had just stopped my parents from calling an ambulance, my parents would have been heartbroken, but at this moment, my father's face was livid. He straightened his clothes, which had been wrinkled, and only after confirming that I was truly unharmed did he speak coldly. "Third brother, have you forgotten what you said yourself? Once you drink paraquat, there's no saving you. Calling an ambulance now would only tell everyone that Shiyu poisoned you. Since you can't be saved anyway, why drag Shiyu down with you?" My mother also calmly added, "That's right, third brother, sister-in-law, you can't be so selfish. Shiyu is only in her 20s. If she gets charged with murdering her own family, what will she do in the future? The three of you can go ahead and die in peace. After all, Shiyu doesn't need anyone to take care of her anymore." Tang Sikong, almost 30 years old, was so frightened that he wet his pants, trembling as he grabbed Li Yueju's hand. "Mom, I don't want to die. I haven't even gotten married yet, I can't die, Lee. Yueju struggled to stand up, kowtowing repeatedly to the relatives. Save us, please save us. The relatives looked at each other, but none of them made any move to call an ambulance. I had already anticipated this. My so-called relatives are all driven by self-interest, unwilling to lift a finger to help. They were probably all afraid that if they called an ambulance, they would have to pay for it themselves. So, one by one, they pretended not to hear, staring at the moonlight outside the window. In the end, it was Tang Shiyu who snapped out of her shock and, trembling, called an ambulance. She also brought a trash can for the three of them, urging them to induce vomiting into it. A foul and nauseating smell immediately filled the living room. Before the ambulance arrived, everyone had already been driven away by the stench. The ambulance arrived soon after. Tang Shiyu was never particularly bright to begin with, and with her entire family on the brink of death, she was naturally distraught. She fell to her knees, begging my parents to go with her. Uncle, Aunt, please come with me. My mind is a mess right now. I know this is my fault, but my parents are innocent. My parents remained calm and composed. I walked over and coldly pushed Tang Shiyu away. Enough with the act. We haven't called the police to arrest you or ruined your reputation, and that's only because your entire family is about to die. If you say another word, I won't hesitate to send you in as well. Tang Shiyu's face was covered in tears. I walked over and closed the door, but not without leaving her a triumphant smile, mouthing the words, "Serves you right," because I closed the door quickly and Tang Shiyu was in a hurry to get to the hospital. She didn't argue with me. Instead, she just kicked the door a few times in frustration before leaving. My parents looked at the tightly shut door, recalling what had just happened. My dad couldn't help but sigh. It's a good thing you kindly gave them the drinks earlier, otherwise, we really wouldn't have known what to do or how to save you. Mom was terrified at the time. If something had really happened to you, your dad and I wouldn't have been able to go on living either. My mom held me in her arms, tears streaming down her face. My eyes were red, my nose stinging terribly. Remembering the scene from my previous life where both of them had drowned, I forced a smile and said, "It's all in the past now. Anyway, I got into university. And you've seen the true faces of these relatives. Just listen to me. Sell the old house and come with me to the city." Okay, I had said this before, but back then, my parents felt that moving to the city would burden me. Besides, having lived in the village their whole lives, they were reluctant to leave, so they refused. But after what happened today, they didn't hesitate much and nodded right away. Not 2 days later, news came from the hospital. Tang Sikong died that day after failed resuscitation efforts. Tang Yuchuan and Li Yueju were revived, but only temporarily. After all, they had consumed paraquat. I knew all too well that this merely gave them time to feel death approaching and await a painful demise. Tang Shiyu returned home crying to pack her things, her face swollen so badly it was frightening. There was no need to guess. It was clear she had been beaten by either Tang Yuchuan or Li Yueju, and with considerable force at that. Her face looked like a pig's head, truly laughable. Standing by the fence, I cracked sunflower seeds and chuckled. "Oh, Shiyu, why are you back? I heard your brother passed away. Are you planning to hold his funeral first, or wait until your parents die and have a joint funeral? You've got to let me know. I need to schedule time to attend the funeral. By the way, you'd better arrange it for the weekend. I'm usually too busy on weekdays. If you ask me, I'd definitely suggest a joint funeral. Otherwise, holding one funeral after another might make people think your family is running a funeral banquet." Assembly line. Tang Shiyu stared at me with a deathly glare. If looks could kill, I would have been torn to pieces by now. Her lips twitched a few times before she finally couldn't hold back and spoke up. "It's all your fault. You should have been the one to die. Why didn't you drink it? Why did you give it to my parents? You're a murderer. Heaven won't let you off the hook. You'll pay for this." I covered my mouth and chuckled. How laughable. Isn't it clear who's paying the price now? How dare you threaten me here? Aren't you afraid I'll call the police and team up with the other relatives who were there to accuse you of attempted murder by poisoning? At this point, I paused briefly. With so many people involved in the murder, you'd definitely get the death penalty, but I won't call the police just yet, at least not until you've finished handling the funeral arrangements. Otherwise, who's going to take care of Mom and Dad's bodies? I deliberately emphasized the words, call the police and relatives. Sure enough, Tang Shiyu froze for a moment upon hearing them. At my hint, Tang Shiyu lived up to expectations. On the third day, she carried Tang Yuchuan and Li Yueju back from the hospital and even placed Tang Xizong's body right at my doorstep. She then called over the relatives who had attended the meal that day, as well as the police. My parents didn't understand what was going on, but I knew all too well. Sure enough, Tang Shiyu let out a wail and started crying. Kneeling before the police and saying, "Officers, please save us, my sister, Tang Sherwan, had a conflict with me and deliberately poisoned my parents and brother at the banquet." Then she forbade us from calling the police, causing my brother to die from the poison and my parents to be on the brink of death. "Please, you must bring them to justice." My father trembled with rage. "Tang Shiyu, have you gone mad? How can you spout such nonsense? It was you who drugged Sherwan, and by some twist of fate, they ended up drinking it." Tang Shiyu was well prepared and immediately cut off my father's words. "Uncle, I treat you like my own father, and I have great respect for my sister and aunt, but you can't just make things up to protect my sister. The banquet was held at your house. How could I have poisoned it?" My mother looked at the other relatives, tears welling up in her eyes, and said, "You were all there at the time. Please speak up. You all saw it. Why aren't you saying anything?" The relatives sighed repeatedly and finally spoke under my mother's desperate pleas, but what they said left my parents utterly shocked. "We were there, which is why we couldn't stand by and came with Shiyu to report this. You've gone too far. I know, you two don't have a son, so you're jealous that Yuchuan has a son, a heir. But Sherwan isn't bad either. How could you let Sherwan poison someone?" "That's right, even though you had an argument. You're still family. How could you kill someone over a small conflict?" The relatives spoke one after another, directly confirming my guilt. Tang Yuchuan, hearing this, put on a heartbroken expression. "Brother, why on earth would you do this to me? Have I not treated you well or shown you enough respect? Although Shiyu has never been particularly clever since she was young, she is the kindest person imaginable. She doesn't even know how to lie, which is why she offended Sherwan. How dare you say that at dinner that day?" Sherwan didn't fly into a rage and curse our entire family to the point of being utterly humiliated. Seeing my parents refute the claims, Li Yueju also chimed in. "I originally thought only Tang Sherwan was the bad one, but I never expected your whole family to be like this, actually lying with your eyes wide open. So many relatives and friends are here to testify. Do you mean to say that all of us have conspired to lie, using our own lives to harm you? If it weren't for my parents having taken fast-acting heart pills in advance under my forewarning, they might have already been angered to death by now." My father took several deep breaths, forcing himself to calm down before he finally spoke. "Officer, that's not how it happened. My daughter didn't poison anyone. It was Tang Shiyu who tried to poison my daughter, but by accident, it ended up being consumed by my brother's entire family." In situations like this where each side claims to be right, the police have seen it countless times, so they can only handle it by the book and say, what you say will only be taken as a reference. But ultimately, it all comes down to evidence. The three of them did indeed eat at your house before suffering from paraquat poisoning, and your call records show that you called for an ambulance half an hour earlier, but the call was hung up. It wasn't until half an hour later that Tang Shiyu called for an ambulance. Although the case is still under investigation, I have to say, the evidence is not in your favor. Tang Shiyu flashed a smile at me, then immediately lowered her head. "I know, sister, you're jealous of me. Jealous that I have a complete family, that I have a brother to protect me, while you're all alone. That's why you wanted to kill us. I never thought you were this kind of person. How could someone like you ever make it to shore? When you're sentenced to death, I'll take over your job and let my parents rest in peace." 15. Hearing this, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Tang Shiyu's expression changed. "Sister, my family is about to be wiped out. How can you still laugh at me? Why are you so sinister and vicious? Are you some kind of sociopath?" But I laughed even harder, almost to the point of being out of breath. It wasn't until the police cleared their throat that I managed to stop laughing. "Sorry, I just couldn't help it when I heard you say I'm jealous of you. You're short, fat, stupid, and wicked. What on earth do I have to be jealous of? But what you said about wanting to take my place at work is true, isn't it? Isn't that exactly why you poisoned me?" Only then did Tang Shiyu realize that she had been so happy with what the police said that she had accidentally misspoken. She had no choice but to shut her mouth and say nothing more. Tang Yuchuan then chimed in. "So what? You caused the death of our entire family. You deserve to die. My daughter may not be much to look at, but she has a kind heart. Taking your place is her contribution to the country." Li Yueju, likely in distress, spoke in a hoarse voice. Officer, with all the evidence now in place, please arrest her and sentence her to death. I don't want to die with my eyes open. I want to see the person who caused my death die before me. The police officers frowned and took out handcuffs as they approached me. Regardless, you'll need to come with us to the station first. We'll investigate thoroughly, and if it really wasn't you, we won't wrongfully accuse you. I nodded and said, Officer, I don't need to go with you because I have evidence to prove I didn't poison anyone, and I also have evidence to show who the real poisoner is. Tang Shiyu's expression changed drastically, but she quickly recovered. If you're talking about the drink bottle, that's completely meaningless because I did touch it, but only after my parents were poisoned. The relatives can all testify to that, right? The relatives' expressions remained unchanged. They just muttered a few, yes, yes, yes. I didn't say much more. Instead, in front of everyone, I turned on the living room TV and played the surveillance footage from that evening's dinner. The surveillance had audio, clearly showing that it was Tang Shiyu herself who took the drink out of her bag. I had only poured drinks for Tang Yuchuan and the others because I wanted to apologize after being criticized by second uncle. I sighed. Officer, does this evidence prove that I'm not the one who poisoned her? The police officer nodded and took the USB drive from my hand. Tang Shiyu snatched it like a madwoman and threw it into the sewer at the entrance. This is fake. It must have been made with AI. Now the evidence is gone. I have witnesses. You can't frame me. I wasn't angry. Instead, I handed another USB drive to the officer. It's fine. I have plenty of USB drives, and my cloud storage is full of backups. Feel free to throw them away if you like. Tang Shiyu seemed to realize that the situation was beyond her control, collapsing weakly to the ground. Why is there surveillance? There shouldn't be any cameras in your house. How is this possible? And if there was surveillance, why didn't you tell me? Why did you say you were taking relatives to the police station to report me? Were you doing this on purpose? Why are you so cruel? Why is there surveillance? Of course, it's part of the plan I made after being reborn, with the experiences from my past life. I know all too well about these so-called relatives. Each one of them loves to stir up trouble and only cares about immediate gains, so I must have ironclad evidence, but of course, I wouldn't say that. I just explained in a strange way. I thought that once I start working, I won't be able to see my parents every day, so I bought a surveillance camera to check on them from time to time. I never expected it would capture evidence of you poisoning them. The police lifted Tang Shiyu from the ground and prepared to take her away, just as the relatives who had testified earlier were trying to slip away unnoticed. I turned to the officers and said, by the way, officers, these people just gave false testimony with such conviction. Isn't that illegal? The police officer glanced at the group and nodded. Of course it's illegal. Don't worry. All these people gave statements at the police station before coming here. Each one has video and signed testimonies as evidence. Even if they run away now, it's fine. We'll track them down one by one. As soon as these words were spoken, the relatives who had just wanted to run away were all in agony, each one grabbing my father's hand and begging for mercy. Qingchuan, this is all a misunderstanding. It was Yuchuan who forced us. I am your elder. You cannot be so rebellious and disregard family ties, right? We're going to testify to the police again to prove your innocence, so you must write a letter of forgiveness to pardon us. These people changed their faces so quickly. In my previous life, it was also these people who stopped my parents from calling the police and even helped the Tang Yuchuan family fabricate evidence, telling the police that my parents had committed suicide. I looked at my parents, but they were even angrier than I was, shaking off everyone's hands. I don't have relatives like you. When you were giving false testimony just now, why didn't you think about us being relatives? When you wanted to harm my daughter and made sarcastic remarks, why didn't you mention we were relatives? Only now do you remember. We're relatives. It's too late. Yes, my only family is my daughter. You will face the judgment of the law. Just like that, the police dispatched 2 vans to transport all these people away. These people were all weeping and wailing, complaining incessantly, constantly cursing my parents, without the slightest awareness that they had done anything wrong. 18. A week later, Tang Yuchuan and Li Yueju died in agony. Since all the relatives were in prison and my parents had no intention of intervening, the bodies of the family of 3 were left unattended in the hospital. 6 months later, Tang Shiyu's poisoning case went to trial. During the proceedings, it was confirmed that Tang Shiyu had intentionally poisoned others, and as a result, she was sentenced to death, and those relatives, because they took Tang Shiyu's money and maliciously gave false testimony, and my parents did not issue a letter of forgiveness for them, were sentenced to 3 years in prison. In court, these people cursed Tang Shiyu repeatedly. Unfortunately, Tang Shiyu was about to die, so how could she care about these curses? Before Tang Shiyu was executed, I went to the prison to see her once. She sat there, dejected and lost, and didn't even react when she saw me, but I didn't care. I just smiled and told her a story. This story is one I read in a novel. It's about rebirth. The female lead knew her cousin would poison her with paraquat, so she turned the tables and poisoned the cousin's entire family. In the end, the cousin was also sentenced to death. At this point, Tang Shiyu finally reacted. She stared at me with a deathly glare. It was you all along, so that's how it is. You've made me suffer so much, even as a ghost. I won't let you go. I just rolled my eyes. I've already died once. Even if you become a ghost after death, you won't be able to do anything to me. After saying that, I turned and left on my own, ignoring Tang Shiyu, who was frantically banging against the glass. Even from far away, I could still hear her screams. After everything was settled, I took my parents and left home. We rented a place for a few years, then used all our savings and the money from selling the house to buy a small 3-bedroom apartment near my workplace. The family lived together, and although it was crowded and not exactly wealthy, life was truly happy. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister-in-law believed that taking melatonin could whiten the skin, so she bought several large bottles and prepared to give them to her 3-year-old niece. Upon learning this, I quickly intervened and seriously explained the effects and dangers of melatonin to my sister-in-law. After learning that melatonin does not have a skin-whitening effect, my sister-in-law gave up the idea of feeding it to my niece. However, when my niece grew up, her darker skin tone prevented her from passing the interview for her dream job as a flight attendant at an airline. My sister-in-law said to her unhappy daughter, "When you were little, I wanted to feed you melatonin to whiten your skin, but your aunt wouldn't let me. Otherwise, you would have become a fair and beautiful girl long ago, and every airline would be fighting to hire you." My niece, upon hearing this, rushed over with reddened eyes and strangled me to death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister-in-law was feeding my niece melatonin. "Lulu, why did you buy so many bottles of melatonin? What is this stuff for?" My mother's voice was the first to ring out. Immediately, my sister-in-law's voice also came from not far away. "What a country bumpkin. Melatonin is obviously for skin whitening. Your granddaughter is so dark. If I don't start whitening her skin early, which rich second generation would ever take a liking to her?" I bought several brands of melatonin, but I'm not sure which one has the best whitening effect. Perfect timing. Xiaoqing, you're a college student. Come over here and help me choose. Looking at the various brands of melatonin on the table, I was momentarily dazed. That's when I realized I had been reborn, because she had said the same thing in my previous life. Upon hearing her say she wanted to give melatonin to her little niece for skin whitening, my pupils instantly dilated in shock. I quickly spoke up to stop her before the tragedy could happen. I told her with a serious expression that melatonin is a hormone-based medication used to improve sleep and has absolutely nothing to do with skin whitening. Moreover, my little niece has just turned 3 years old and should not take melatonin at all. Not only does it have no whitening effect, but it could also be life-threatening. My sister-in-law looked at me with some suspicion. To convince her, I casually opened another bottle of melatonin and took out the instruction leaflet inside. I pointed to the small print under the sections "Suitable Population" and "Efficacy and Function" on the leaflet for her to see. My sister-in-law read the instruction manual from start to finish and realized that it indeed did not mention any whitening effects. Only then did she give up on feeding melatonin to her niece for the purpose of skin whitening. Her niece was able to grow up healthy. However, as the niece grew older, she not only became lazy and gluttonous but also showed no interest in studying. She didn't even managed to get into high school. She simply saw how glamorous flight attendants looked in TV dramas and developed a desire to become one herself. Without going through any exam registration, she went directly to the airline to make a scene, demanding an interview for a flight attendant position. The other party had no choice but to politely refuse her on the grounds of skin color. After returning home, my niece frantically applied whitening body lotion all over herself. My sister-in-law spoke to her sullen niece, "When you were little, I wanted to feed you melatonin to whiten your skin, but your aunt wouldn't allow it. Otherwise, you would have turned into a fair and beautiful girl long ago, and airlines would have been fighting over you. I think your aunt is just jealous of you. She's short and dark-skinned and couldn't become a flight attendant, so she doesn't want you to become one either." My mom chimed in, "Exactly. I bet the instruction manual she showed you was forged by her herself. She'll use any underhanded trick to keep Xiao Xiao from getting fairer. My niece's eyes grew redder and redder, and she rushed over, gripping my neck tightly. I had no defense and was strangled to death by her. To cover up his niece's crime, my brother threw my body into the wild mountains overnight to be eaten by dogs, and he created the false impression that I had gone missing while playing around. Fine, you want fair skin, right? You want to be a flight attendant, right? This time, I'm not going to interfere. I want to see for myself whether giving melatonin to a 3-year-old will actually whiten their skin or end up being fatal. Xiao Qing, are you listening to me? I asked you to come help me choose which melatonin has the best skin whitening effect. Your niece is waiting to take it. My sister-in-law, Lulu, seeing that I hadn't responded, frowned and called me again. Only then did I snap out of it. Looking at the various brands of melatonin on the table, I shook my head in confusion. I don't know about this either. The instructor didn't teach it. Lulu clicked her tongue and said, "What a waste of going to college. You don't know anything." When asked, "Times sure are different now. Even pigs can go to university." Forget it. Later we'll give Xiao Xiao a few pills of each of these brands. Mixing all the brands together to take them will definitely give the best whitening effect. I chuckled. Sister-in-law is still the smartest. Upon hearing my flattery, Lulu, looking quite pleased with herself, unscrewed the bottles of melatonin from various brands, poured out a few pills from each, and held them in her hand. Just as Lulu was about to feed them to her little niece, my mother suddenly nudged my arm hard and gave me a meaningful look. This trick again. I knew exactly what she was trying to convey. Whenever she sensed something was off but felt too awkward to say it directly to Lulu, she would use this method to voice the issue through me. But now, I no longer want to be her tool, so naturally, I didn't pay her any attention. Seeing that I didn't respond, my mother leaned close to my ear and whispered, "What do you mean by smart? This is medicine, and all medicine has its side effects. How can you take it recklessly, and mixing different medicines together? Do you want to shorten your niece's life? You should go and talk some sense into your sister-in-law right now." Ah, what a perfect example of, all medicine has its side effects. Why didn't she say that in my past life? Do you think I'll be the fool again in this second chance? Dream on. I spoke with a hint of grievance. Mom, why are you whispering? Mixing the medicine together, isn't that what sister-in-law said? I don't know anything about it. So, do you think sister-in-law wants to harm your granddaughter? My mother clearly didn't expect me to loudly repeat what she had whispered to me, and her expression instantly turned flustered. Lulu was immediately displeased. She stopped what she was doing, frowned, and looked at my mother as she spoke. Mom, what do you mean by that? If you have a problem with me, just say it outright. What do you mean by, I'm going to kill Xiao Xiao? Xiao Xiao is my own daughter. How could I possibly harm her? Besides, if Xiao Xiao didn't take after your son, would she be this dark? Do you want Xiao Xiao to grow up as dark as Xiao Qing, so dark that she can't even find a partner? Xiao Qing is so dark now because she didn't have a good mother like me when she was little. If Xiao Qing had been taking melatonin since she was a child, she'd definitely be fairer than she is now. I was a bit speechless. How did this turn into a personal attack on me? If I had grown up taking melatonin, I probably would have died long ago. How could I have survived until now? My mother quickly waved her hands to explain. No, I didn't mean anything else. I'm just worried about Xiao Xiao. After all medicine has its side effects. And Xiao Xiao is only 3 years old. I'm afraid too much medication might not be good for her. Besides, I've never even heard of this melatonin thing. Is it really for skin whitening? Maybe you should check the instructions to be on the safe side. Lulu rolled her eyes. You're just a little old lady from the countryside who doesn't understand anything but still loves to give orders. Why bother checking the instructions? The name, melatonin, itself clearly suggests it's for skin whitening. My mother still looked a bit troubled. She nudged my arm again, hoping I would help her say a few words, but I still didn't react at all. Seeing my mother like this, Lulu snorted and continued, "All right, if you don't want me to feed her, then I won't. Just wait and see when Xiao Xiao grows up, turns as dark as Xiao Qing, can't marry into a wealthy family, and can't find a job. What will you do then?" Then I'll tell her, "When you were little I wanted to give you melatonin to whiten your skin, but your grandma insisted on stopping me. Now you're as dark as your aunt, all thanks to your grandma. I can't wait to see, when you're old, whether Xiao Xiao will be grateful and filial to you, or if she'll pull the plug on your oxygen tube." As she spoke, Lulu made a move to throw the dozen or so melatonin pills she was holding into the trash can. Hearing Lulu shift the blame onto her, My mom visibly panicked. She hurriedly grabbed Lulu, then spoke with an awkward smile. "Oh, Lulu, you might have misunderstood. As an old lady from the countryside, how would I know anything about melatonin?" It was Xiao Qing who said it. She was worried that Xiao Xiao might take something harmful but felt too embarrassed to tell you herself, so she asked me to talk to you. "I think what you said makes a lot of sense. The name, melatonin, sounds like it's for skin whitening, right, Xiao Qing? Wow, talk about being caught in the crossfire while minding your own business at home. Using people as pawns is indeed my mother's way of doing things. After all, this kind of thing has happened more than once." My mother finished speaking and looked at me, desperately trying to signal me with her eyes. I knew what she was thinking. She threw the question to me because she wanted me to refute what she said. Then she had me confront Lulu while she stayed out of the spotlight. No matter how things turned out, I would be the one left holding the bag. I've taken enough losses like that already, and I don't want to be the scapegoat again this time around. I blinked and spoke up. "Why are you looking at me? What my sister-in-law said makes sense, and she's the child's mother. How could she possibly harm her own child? Sister-in-law, you can rest assured about whitening your niece's skin. Both my mother and I fully support you. When your niece marries into a wealthy family in the future, don't forget to let me, as her aunt, share in the good fortune." Seeing that I didn't fall for her trap, my mother's expression clearly grew anxious. She wanted to say something to me, but with Lulu present, she couldn't speak freely. She could only continue signaling me with her eyes. I pretended to be clueless. "Mom, why are you blinking so much?" "Oh, right, I almost forgot. I have a business trip this afternoon. Thanks for reminding me, Mom. I'll go pack my luggage now." After saying that, I immediately ran to the bedroom and started packing my luggage in a huff. Seeing this, my mother also rushed to my bedroom to try and stop me, but before she could even speak, Lulu called her over to help coax her niece into taking melatonin. While they were busy coaxing the niece to take melatonin, I quietly dragged my luggage out of the house. Breathing in the fresh air outside, I instantly felt much more relaxed. Actually, I never had any business trip at all, but I knew that if I stayed at home for even one more second, my mother would try every possible way to make me her spokesperson. If anything happened, she would just push the blame onto me. My tragic death in my previous life was the best example of that, so I had to escape from this home. I also wanted to see what would happen to my niece this time without me standing in the way. After leaving home, I randomly found a short-term rental and simply paid for a month's rent up front. Anyway, I absolutely cannot go home until this matter is settled. But as soon as I entered the short-term rental, before I could even warm the seat, I received a call from my mom. Frowning, I answered the phone and heard my mom's shrill, angry voice on the other end. "Lu Yuqing, where the hell have you been? Get back here right now. What were you pretending to be clueless about earlier at home? You're a college student. How could you not understand the principle that all medicine is somewhat toxic, especially that melatonin stuff? I've never even heard of it. Who knows if it's some unregulated drug? I just hinted at it so clearly, even steering the conversation right to you. How could you still not get what I meant?" Of course I understood. It's precisely because I understood too well that I had to play dumb. I asked in confusion. "Didn't I already say, I'm on a business trip, and what hint are you talking about? Weren't you trying to get me to support my sister-in-law?" "I did exactly that. Besides, if you think it's not good for your niece to take melatonin, you can just tell your sister-in-law. It's not like you don't have a mouth. I'm not even home. So why are you telling me?" After hearing this, my mother raised her voice even louder. "You're still playing dumb with me. Let me tell you, Lu Yuqing, your sister-in-law and I just fed Xiao Xiao over 10 melatonin pills. You'd better get back here right now and take Xiao Xiao to the hospital for a checkup. Otherwise, if anything really happens to Xiao Xiao, you'll be the murderer. Hiding won't do you any good. I can just call the police and have them come arrest you." I scoffed and said, "Do you even hear what you're saying? The melatonin was fed by you and my sister-in-law together. How could I, someone who had no involvement at all and wasn't even present, become the murderer? I'd like to ask, are you planning to call the police to arrest me, or to turn yourself in? Alright, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I'm quite busy over here." After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. Afraid she might call again to harass me, I simply turned on airplane mode. Anyway, with Wi-Fi connected, the normal social and entertainment functions of the phone wouldn't be affected by airplane mode. In the evening, I suddenly came across a video posted by Lulu on a short video platform, showing her niece sleeping soundly in bed. The caption read, "Day 1 of checking in on Xiao Xiao's melatonin whitening journey. after taking over 10 melatonin pills. It feels like she's really gotten a bit fairer. Family, hurry up and learn from this. This video had nearly 10,000 likes and thousands of comments. Clearly having gone viral, I was curious about how netizens in the comments would criticize her for such a foolish approach, but when I clicked into the comments section, I didn't see the wave of criticism I had imagined. Instead, everyone was worried and anxious for my niece. Sis, you need to take your daughter to the hospital for gastric lavage right away. Melatonin isn't for skin whitening at all. A child this young eating so much is definitely going to cause problems. Melatonin is for improving sleep. Sis, you gave her over 10 pills, your daughter probably isn't just asleep, she might be unconscious. Even an adult would sleep for 2 days after taking over 10 melatonin pills, let alone such a young child. Hurry to the hospital. Remember to let us know you're safe when you get back from the hospital. I am not afraid that the dissuasion from netizens in the comments section will disrupt my revenge plan, because I know that Lulu simply won't listen to the netizens' advice. As a selfish person, she will only think that the netizens in the comments section are jealous of her finding a good method for skin whitening, which is why they want to stop her from giving melatonin to her niece for whitening. Sure enough, within 5 minutes, I saw Lulu replying one by one under the comments from those concerned about her niece. Don't curse my daughter here. If melatonin can't whiten skin, why is it called melatonin? Can you take responsibility if her stomach gets damaged from the wash? What's wrong with my daughter sleeping well? Is it bothering you? It's your daughter who's in a coma. Oh, looks like you've tried it yourself. Still in a coma? Why don't you just sleep to death? Don't think I don't know what you're all thinking. You're just afraid my daughter will become fair and beautiful, and then compete with you for the chance to marry into a wealthy family, aren't you? How can you be so malicious? I couldn't help but laugh. This is exactly the kind of thing she would say. It was the same in my past life. My good intentions were always taken for granted by her. After seeing Lulu's reply, no one in the comments section tried to persuade her anymore. After all, who would willingly seek out criticism? The next day, Lulu updated her short video platform with another post documenting her niece taking melatonin for skin whitening. As expected, it went viral again, even doubling the likes and comments from the previous day. However, unlike yesterday, this time, not a single comment in the section was free from criticism. I noticed with a sharp eye that there were traces of vomit wiped from my niece's mouth. Before I could take a closer look, my mom called. I somewhat regretted turning off airplane mode today, but after hesitating for a moment, I still answered the call. My mom's urgent voice came through the phone. Xiaoqing, something's happened. You need to come home right away. Xiao has been sleeping since yesterday morning after taking melatonin, and just now, she vomited while sleeping. What's going on? Is there something wrong with that melatonin? You need to come back quickly and take Xiao to the hospital. Isn't that obvious? Even an adult would be in a coma for days after taking over 10 melatonin pills in 2 days, let alone my niece who just turned 3. I'm certain that my niece's liver has already suffered irreversible damage. Even if we take her to the hospital now, it might not be enough to fully restore my niece's health, but I don't plan to tell my mother about this. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I pretended to be surprised and asked, what's going on? I don't know anything about it. What did my sister-in-law say? Before my mother could answer, I heard Lulu's excited voice in the background of the call. Mom, come quick, look at this. My video went viral again. I gained 3,000 followers. In a few more days, we can start live streaming and selling products. While the hype is still high, let's film more videos of Xiao later. I've noticed that netizens really enjoy watching me give Xiao her medicine. Mom, check what other medicines we have at home. Cold medicine, anti-inflammatory drugs, anything will do. I'm worried that if we keep feeding her melatonin, the viewers might get bored and unfollow me. We can't let this golden opportunity slip away. My mom seemed to forget she was on the phone with me. After hearing Lulu's words, she immediately put down her phone. Since the call wasn't disconnected, I could clearly hear their conversation. I heard my mother respond to Lulu with equal excitement. Really? Let me see. Oh my god, 5,000. Are the followers growing that fast? Wait, I'll find some medicine for Xiao right now. After a series of rummaging sounds, my mother continued excitedly. Fortunately, I kept a lot of expired medicine before, and it really came in handy. Anyway, expired medicine has no medicinal effect, so it's almost like feeding Xiao candy, Lulu said with satisfaction. Alright. Since it's expired medicine, let's feed Xiao more. The netizens love to see that. It'll generate more buzz. Anyway, expired medicine has no effect, so it doesn't matter how much she eats. After saying that, I heard the footsteps of the two of them growing fainter until they disappeared. They probably went to the bedroom to feed my niece the medicine, I sneered inwardly. Finally understanding what it means to go to any lengths for the sake of traffic, her own daughter had been unconscious for a full day and night, and Lulu's first reaction was to check how much her follower count had increased. What they didn't know was that while expired medication may lose its effectiveness, its toxicity and side effects can actually increase, so giving their niece expired medication was essentially hastening her death. But what does this have to do with me? I'm not so saintly as to save the ungrateful wretch who strangled me to death in my previous life. After hanging up the phone, I kept refreshing Lulu's short video account. I wanted to see just how badly my niece would be tormented by them, but I waited all night and didn't see Lulu's short video account update. It wasn't until the next morning that I was woken up by a call from my brother. I was a bit puzzled. Wasn't my brother on a business trip? What was he calling me for? My brother is a doting father to his daughter, and there's only one thing that could make him drop everything at work and rush home, that is, if something happened to my niece. But it was something I had expected, so I wasn't too surprised. After a few seconds of hesitation, I finally picked up the call. Before I could even speak, my brother's furious roar came through the phone. Lu Yuqing, get your ass over to Central Hospital with the money right now. Your niece is hospitalized from eating something bad. You know that. Did you feed Xiao Xiao something you shouldn't have? Didn't I tell you? Xiao Xiao is still young. She can't eat all that junk food you have. Xiao Xiao has been vomiting since last night, and she even started vomiting blood. She's still unconscious right now. I'm telling you, if anything happens to Xiao Xiao, I'll make you pay with your life. Do you hear me? Speak, get over here right now. No need to think to know this must be the accusation my mom and Lulu have pinned on me, but he doesn't even stop to think. What kind of random snacks could make a niece fall into a coma and even vomit blood? Then again, since he could marry and have children with someone as foolish as Lulu, it shows he isn't all that bright either. I feigned surprise and said, what? My niece is in the hospital. Did this happen yesterday? I had no idea. I went on a business trip the afternoon before yesterday and can't make it back right now. My brother was clearly taken aback. You were away on a business trip the day before yesterday and not at home. Then why did Mom and my wife say it was you who fed Xiao Xiao something bad, and that's why she ended up like this? I pretended to think for a moment before speaking. Oh, right, brother. The day before yesterday, just before I was about to leave, I saw my sister-in-law buying several bottles of melatonin, saying she wanted to whiten your daughter's skin. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Before I could even finish my sentence, my brother instantly flew into a rage. What a load of crap. How the hell can melatonin whiten skin? Do you think your sister-in-law is an idiot? Lu Yuqing, don't you dare try to shift the blame onto your sister-in-law just to avoid taking responsibility. Then Lulu's scolding voice also came through the receiver. That's right, Xiaoqing, we haven't even said anything about you giving Xiao Xiao random things to eat, and now you're trying to blame me first. What is melatonin? I've never even heard of it. I'm Xiao Xiao's biological mother. How could I possibly harm her? My mom chimed in to back her up. Exactly. What melatonin? I've never heard of it either. Ask your brother. Has he ever seen any melatonin in our house? It's not that I'm criticizing you, but you really need to change this habit of lying. It's only because we spoil you that you get away with it. Just look at yourself, lying all day long. What kind of family would ever want to marry into this? I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. My mom and Lulu were really singing from the same hymn sheet. It seems they've also realized that the reason my niece has turned out this way is because of the melatonin. So they thought that by destroying the melatonin at home, they could neatly wash their hands of the matter and pin the blame on me, but they forgot the most crucial point. They themselves posted the evidence of feeding their niece melatonin on a short video platform. If I'm not mistaken, Lulu must have deleted those videos before my brother returned, but so what? The internet has a memory, especially since those videos she posted gained so much attention at the time. There are countless marketing accounts that have clipped her videos. Moreover, I had already anticipated that she would delete the video, so I saved it as soon as I saw her post it. Want to make me take the blame? Dream on, I sneered and said. Really? Then how come I came across a video on the short video platform of my sister-in-law feeding my niece melatonin for skin whitening? Lulu was anxious. You're talking nonsense. When did I ever send it? My brother immediately snatched Lulu's phone after hearing this. Strange. You haven't posted any works. How do you have 10,000 followers? Before Lulu could speak, I heard the doctor's voice coming from the phone. This is a critical condition notice. Who will sign it? My brother froze for 2 seconds, then angrily spoke up. What? A critical condition notice? My daughter was perfectly fine when we brought her here. How could she suddenly be in critical condition? She just ate some junk snacks my sister gave her. How could it be this serious? I get it now. You greedy hospital just wants to squeeze money out of us, right? Fine, whatever it costs. Just make sure my daughter gets better. My sister will be here soon to pay you. Now tear up that damn critical condition notice right now and apologize to me. Cursing my daughter like that. I find it disgusting. The doctor also retorted sharply. Don't you know what you fed the patient? What were you thinking, giving such a young child so much medicine? The child's internal organs have already been severely damaged by these drugs. Why didn't you, as parents, bring the child to the hospital earlier? Given the child's current condition, the chances of successful resuscitation are extremely slim, but we will still do our best. Don't just stand there. Sign the critical condition notice quickly. The child was already brought to the hospital late enough. Now, every second wasted puts the child in greater danger. My brother spoke up again to argue. Why should I sign anything? Have you ever heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy? If I sign this ominous thing, what if my daughter really ends up in critical condition? Besides, my daughter isn't even sick. Why would we give her any medicine? This unscrupulous hospital will say anything for money. Enough, we won't be treated at your hospital anymore. Give me my daughter back, and we'll find a hospital with a conscience. Lulu also stepped forward at this moment, joining my brother in the argument. That's right, Xiao Xiao just ate something bad. It's not as serious as you're making it out to be. I'm her mother. Would I ever harm her? Besides, Xiao Xiao has been locked inside for treatment the whole time, and we haven't seen her. Who knows if you're secretly feeding her poison just to squeeze more money out of us? At that moment, another nurse's voice came through the receiver. I'm sorry, we did our best. Please accept our condolences. For a moment, the phone line fell into an eerie silence, but that silence lasted only 5 seconds before my brother completely lost it, roaring furiously. Condolences, condolences my ass. What did you do to my daughter, you heartless hospital? Give me back my daughter. I told you my sister would be here soon, and I could have her take out a loan for however much you want. Why did you have to threaten me like this? The doctor let out a deep sigh and began to speak. I understand your emotions as family members, and we deeply regret that the child could not be saved. But you cannot slander our hospital without reason. The child was already in critical condition when she was brought to the hospital. I've already said, how could you recklessly give her medication at such a young age? Not only medication, but the hormone levels in the child's body were also excessive. Did you also give her hormone-based drugs? Lulu shrieked. What melatonin? I didn't feed her any melatonin. Don't you dare slander me, you heartless hospital. After arriving at the hospital, Lulu spoke every word at the top of her voice, because only by speaking loudly could she hide the guilt that seeped through her tone. My brother suddenly realized something. He turned his head and stared intently at Lulu, saying, melatonin. He only said it was a hormonal drug. How did you know it was melatonin? Lulu, tell the truth. Did you really give Xiao Xiao melatonin? Lulu stammered. No, I was so angry that I blurted it out without thinking. Just now, Xiao Qing accused me of giving Xiao Xiao melatonin, so that was the first thing that came to my mind. Hearing this, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. Do you think that by covering up your own words, this matter is over? Don't forget, I still have the check-in video saved on my phone of you feeding your niece melatonin to whiten her skin. Thinking this, I sent both videos I had saved on my phone to my brother on WeChat. After sending them, I found the previous call recording with my mom and did some simple editing. I cut out the parts of the conversation between me and my mom, leaving only the recording of my mom and Lulu discussing how to use feeding the niece medication to create an account and generate hype. I sent the edited audio recording right after the video to my brother's WeChat. After doing all this, I realized the call with my brother had been disconnected. I guess it was because my brother saw the video I sent him that he hung up the phone. I glanced out the window, and not far away was the central hospital. Isn't this forcing me to go to the scene to witness the drama? I wrapped myself up like a rice dumpling, checked myself in the mirror to make sure even I couldn't recognize myself, and then hurried out the door, heading straight for the central hospital across the street. About 3 minutes later, I arrived at the scene of the drama, claiming to be visiting a friend. Even though I was wrapped up tightly, to be on the safe side, I hid in the fire escape, watching my brother's situation from a distance. When I arrived, I happened to see my brother watching the video I had sent him. Fortunately, I wasn't too late and didn't miss the most exciting part. I saw Lulu and my mother standing nearby, their faces growing paler and paler as they heard the sounds coming from my brother's phone, and the anger on my brother's face was also growing heavier and heavier. Lulu, her face deathly pale, tried to rush over and snatch my brother's phone. She was directly slapped to the ground by my brother. My brother glared at Lulu with wide eyes. "Damn it, who told you that taking melatonin could whiten your skin? How did you take care of our daughter when I wasn't home? Why didn't you take her to the hospital sooner, you bitch? Give me back my daughter." Lulu covered her face, shaking her head repeatedly. "I didn't know it would lead to this outcome, and you can't blame me entirely for this. At the time, I said I wanted to give Xiao Xiao melatonin to whiten her skin, and Mom fully supported me. I thought Xiao Xiao was too dark, and I was afraid she wouldn't be able to marry into a wealthy family in the future, so I did it. I didn't know melatonin couldn't whiten skin. It's okay, honey, we're still young, we can have another child. After all, Xiao Xiao is only 3 years old, and we haven't developed much of a bond with her yet. If a little girl dies, she dies. This time, I'll give you a big, healthy boy, okay?" After speaking, Lulu looked at my mother with pleading eyes, as if hoping she would say a few words on her behalf. However, after seeing my brother's gloomy expression, my mother didn't dare to intervene on behalf of Lulu, who was lying on the ground. I noticed my mother's eyes darting around, as if she had thought of some strategy. I stepped forward directly and kicked Lulu, who had just gotten up from the ground, knocking her down again. "You wretched woman, you've killed our Lu family's precious daughter, and you still have the nerve to argue. When did I ever fully support you in feeding Xiao Xiao melatonin for skin whitening? I had no idea you were feeding her melatonin. If I had known, how could I have let you feed her? My son marrying you was truly a stroke of bad luck." Lulu looked at my mother with an expression of disbelief. She seemed not to have expected my mother to completely absolve herself and place all the blame squarely on her head. Lulu still wanted to speak up to defend herself, but after hearing what my mom said, my brother was once again filled with rage. He stepped forward directly, tightly gripping Lulu's neck, cursing and slapping her several more times. How thrilling! Watching dogs bite each other is still the most entertaining. If it weren't for the inconvenience of being in the hospital, I would have even wanted to jump up and cheer. I noticed my mother standing to the side, watching the commotion, with a slight upward curve at the corner of her mouth. "Do you think you can get away with this unscathed? In your previous life, you shifted the blame onto me. Just like this, do you think you can pull the same trick again in this life and quietly slip away? How could anything in this world be that easy? Those who hurt me in my past life, not a single one can be left out. They can all go straight to hell." I sent the edited recording to my brother again, to make sure he didn't miss it. I bombarded him with messages, sending it over 10 times earlier. He was too focused on watching the video of Lulu's niece taking melatonin for skin whitening that she had posted earlier. The recording that followed hadn't even been watched yet when Lulu and my mom interrupted. "That won't do. I can't let Lulu be the only one to face punishment. I know my brother. If someone crosses his bottom line, he really will fight to the death." My brother, feeling the constant vibration of messages coming through on his phone, also stopped slapping Lulu. After tossing Lulu onto the ground like trash, he finally pulled out his phone. Seeing that the message was from me, he frowned and then clicked on one of the recordings. Lulu's voice was the first to come out of my brother's phone. "Mom, this video of mine has gone viral again. In a few more days, we can start live streaming and selling products. Let's take advantage of the current high engagement and record more videos of Xiao Xiao together later. Mom, check what medicine we have at home. Cold medicine, anti-inflammatory drugs, anything will do. I'm worried the audience might get tired of always seeing melatonin." Then, my mom's excited voice came through the phone again. "Oh my, 5,000, are the followers growing this fast? Wait, I'll go find some medicine for Xiao Xiao right away." Fortunately, I had kept a lot of expired medicine before, and it really came in handy. Anyway, once the medicine expires, it loses its potency, so it's almost like feeding Xiao Xiao candy. After that, Lulu's excited and agreeing voice came through the phone again. The recording ended here, and my brother directly slammed the phone onto the ground with a loud bang. I could clearly see my brother's chest heaving violently with anger. My mom was completely panicked now. "No, that's not it. It has nothing to do with me. The medicine I gave was indeed expired, no different from candy. Xiao Xiao died from taking melatonin. It has nothing to do with me." My brother glared angrily and shouted, "Didn't you know that expired medicine is even more deadly? Didn't you just say you didn't know Lulu was giving Xiao Xiao melatonin? Didn't you say you would have stopped If you knew, then what's with this recording? You even cooperated with Lulu to film a video, and you're telling me you didn't know? Do you think I'm stupid? Are you playing me for a fool? My mom was frightened by my brother's state. She quickly backed down. Yes, it's all my fault, but to be honest, what Lulu said isn't wrong. Xiao Xiao is just a girl. If she dies, she dies. You're still young, you can still have more children. Having a big, healthy boy is what brings honor to the family, and besides, that girl didn't die for nothing. Every video Lulu took of Xiao Xiao taking medicine went viral, and she gained a lot of followers. Soon, we can start live streaming and selling products. You young people understand this kind of thing. Lulu, hurry up and bring your phone over to show my son how many followers you have on your account. Seeing the situation easing up a bit, Lulu quickly switched her phone to the short video account interface and showed it to my brother. My brother seemed to have been appeased by them and didn't say anything more. After completing the normal procedures for the death, the three of them left, but I always felt that things weren't that simple, because I saw a flash of malice in my brother's eyes. After they left, I returned to the daily rental with confusion. The next day, when I woke up in the morning and opened the short video app, I saw that Lulu's account was live streaming. I couldn't help but admire Lulu. My brother was already so angry, yet she still dared to repeatedly provoke him in his sensitive areas. My niece is gone, and I'm a bit curious about what Lulu will broadcast. Clicking into the live stream, I didn't see Lulu, but my brother instead. I saw my brother holding a bottle of melatonin, his face cold as he spoke. First, let me introduce product number 1, melatonin. The scene shifts, and I see my mother and Lulu tied to chairs with their mouths gagged. My heart skipped a beat. I seemed to guess what he intended to do. My brother approached Lulu step by step with melatonin in hand. He removed the cloth from her mouth and, with a sinister smile, forced the melatonin into her mouth. Lulu, her face full of terror, whimpered, in fear. My brother was forcing melatonin down her throat while roaring, "Didn't you want to be famous? Didn't you want to be a live streaming sales host? I'll make it happen for you. There are 20,000 people in the live stream right now. Is that famous enough for you?" After forcing an entire bottle of melatonin down her throat, he stuffed the cloth back into Lulu's mouth. As for my mother, he forced a chaotic mix of various drugs down her throat. Just when I thought his revenge was over, he picked up another knife from the ground and showed it to the camera. He sneered and said, "Now, let me introduce the second link, the fruit knife. I'll test its sharpness for you. If it works well, remember to place your order." Then, I watched as he slowly approached Lulu and my mother. They wanted to try to break free from the ropes on the chairs, but they were tied too tightly and couldn't move an inch. I was also terrified and closed my eyes tightly when I saw the knife stab into Lulu's body. The live stream was shut down. However, I knew that my brother wouldn't stop what he was doing just because the live stream was shut down, so Lulu and my mother were bound to die today. And since my brother dared to broadcast the process of the murder on the platform, it meant he was prepared to risk his life. After about 2 hours, I received a news notification. A man live-streamed a murder on a rooftop. Police arrived at the scene and found the bodies of 2 women, confirming the man was responsible. The man is currently under police control. Please do not panic. This outcome was pretty much what I expected. However, I knew my brother was crazy, but I never imagined he would be this insane, daring to commit murder on a live stream. My mother and Lulu are both dead. My brother killed 2 people and even live-streamed the murders to create panic, so he will definitely be sentenced to death. This outcome was what they should have experienced in their previous lives, but it's not too late now. I put on my clothes, applied some beautiful makeup, and got ready to go out and buy a strawberry-flavored cake to welcome my new life. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.